What they say, when we time will tell. Just roll it up, loud lungs like a Dell. Nowadays, I can't wait to check the mail. Ayy, just another check in the mail, yeah. All these dead presidents, I'm going to hell. Every time I double, what they expect me to sell. Never been made for a casket or a cell. Sipping soda, hoping we don't crash like an intel, yeah. What they say, when we time will tell. Just roll it up, loud lungs like a Dell. Nowadays, I can't wait to check the mail. Ayy, just another check in the mail, yeah. All these dead presidents, I'm going to hell. Every time I double, what they expect me to sell. Never been made for a casket or a cell. Sipping soda, hoping we don't crash like an intel, yeah.
Mercury rising.
Behold your king.
Ready for meltdown. Kaboom!
My subjects will be glad to hear my voice.
Kirov reporting. Airship ready.
Good day, peasant. Bow to your king. Bow before me.
Electrodes ready. Rubber shoes in motion.
I love your brain. You're so interesting. And the way you think is so cool.
Anytime, boss. Cha-ching! Cha-ching! Cha-ching!
Hello, Invictus Kings, at the link in the description. So happy to see you today. So much fun. 3 things before we break down and extract all of the tactics and knowledge that Vivek is using in order to rise like a meteorite within the political sphere in the US and in the world. The 3 things is I just released a new warrior training, which is about showing almost a masterclass in 6 of the 7 archetypes of primal status elevation and how to show them on your social media, in your Instagram, in your photos, and why that matters, and how to build assets that will break you through any status ceiling and allows you to get to the top and to turn worship mode within most of humanity. It's right here. The second thing, next weekend, we're breaking down the movie Gladiator together in the members only live stream, and that is going to be as much fun almost as yesterday, where we broke down 2 episodes of Mad Men, including going frame by frame within a scene of him flirting and showing everything that he did in order to create sexual tension, in order to be a great flirt. And third, of course, September 1st, because it's inflation time, everything within primalstats.com is going to increase 25% in price, and some things are going to get deleted. So make sure if you join as a member before that date, you lock in the lower price. If you get a mentorship before they all get deleted, you will secure your place. So go to the link in the description, primalstatus.com, and let's have all the fun. Today, there was a lot of fun time in the Telegram group, people discussing what I broke down in the training on the Primal Status Instagram game. A lot of insights and people noticing and comparing how they were displaying the different archetypes, whether instinctively or not. It's always fun at the Invictus King tribe right here. So let's begin.
Want to eliminate the FBI?
FBI, CDC, IRS, ATF.
What is that? Outlaw by definition. The person who breaks down things that already exist, the status quo, in order to rebuild, that turns things into Lego pieces, is an outlaw, not a warrior. The warrior always protects what exists, while the outlaw breaks down the old in order to create the new.
Of education, and we're just getting warmed up.
Ukraine, end it or let
End it. This is the moment where we, the people, say we can handle the truth about what.
Speaking in the name of the people, guardian, and also peacemaker plus king, that he is a protector of the people. He's connected to the people. He's the voice of the people. So many archetypes you'll see and so many things he's using. And notice the certainty he speaks with. He speaks as if it's a fact, although it's unproven. Nobody tested whatever he's talking about. It's a new thing, but he speaks because, understand, most people who have a strong vision and kings are always imagining that future, living in it. So half of them is in the present and the other half is already inside their imagination. If you grew up as a child who was daydreaming, like in my situation, I grew up with a bipolar, a narcissistic mother, and therefore a lot of time I needed to escape reality into a level of imagination just to soothe myself, and that developed my ability to see things and imagine things and visualize things intensely. Often a visionary is able to visualize things so well that he lives in that future and is able to speak about it as if it's happening, even if it's not, because half of him is there. Hi, just two seems like it. Well, what do you mean two? But Vladimir, did you see today's Primal Status Instagram game, Vanishing Warrior Training? It will expire in 30 days. And there I give a masterclass about how to show the energies of the gods in order to trigger the worship instinct within the lizard brain, and how to use 6 and display instantly 6 of the 7 archetypes of power. The trickster is not so easy to do it instantly, but still all the others give you superpowers.
COVID-19, the truth about government censorship via tech companies to do it, the truth about the
What is that? Truth telling. A king has radical honesty, one, as well as a warrior who is willing to take the heat, because the warrior is your armor and shield in a sense. And therefore, the stronger your warrior, the more you're able to take criticism, handle people pissed off at your truth, because sometimes truth hurts. I'm signing up today for the Telegram group. I meant just me watching, just the two of us. Yes, it's fun. Thank you so much. And sometimes the YouTube has issues where it doesn't show the correct number of people. But either way, we are the elites, and it's always lonely at the top, in the sense that the top of the pyramid is never crowded. So welcome right here.
and the bribe from Ukraine and from China, the truth about Jeffrey Epstein.
Would you exonerate Trump? Well, hey, massive.
What a great title for his podcast, Power Players. And notice here, Grant Cardone is supposed to be a king because he has a big audience. He has a tribe, and a magician in the sense that he has access to broadcast technology. If you can leverage yourself using technology, that's part of being a magician. But he will act like a peacemaker and a fan to Vivek all the time. Notice from the beginning, it's like, I'm a big fan.
Big fan.
Right away. That's not, you're giving your power away to someone you don't even know. He didn't earn it. Remember, only peacemaker to your tribe members, people who prove they deserve respect, not to unknowns. And this is the first time, according to what they say here. BRH, welcome, welcome. One of the warrior kings within the tribe, a very smart individual. Always happy to see you here.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, really, really, like you inspire me tremendously.
And notice behind them all the symbolism. The gun, the automatic rifle right there. It depends. It's a warrior or an outlaw based on the intentions. The helicopter right there, that's a king. If it's an army helicopter, it's a warrior. But often a helicopter, he owns it as a king. All those books on the shelf represent the magician. The photo with his family, that is the peacemaker. The cosmonaut or NFT or whatever it is, it depends. Astronauts, by definition, they go outside of the comfort zone of humanity, so they're outlaws by definition. NFT as well is cutting edge, so it's technology magician plus outlaw. And let's keep looking at other symbolism. He has that doll behind him. If you see it, there is a small bobbin head doll. That's often funny, so that's trickster. All of the symbolism, the way he's dressed, he's showing some fit body, and the way that he has the polo shirt, that can be a warrior king, depending if you ascribe that polo shirts are high class, therefore a king, and that they show if you have a fit body, a warrior. A lot of great things in the training today that cover the depth and the insights related to how to show instantly so many of the archetypes and how to show them in the right way.
To reach for my full potential. Let me give you a proper introduction. American business leader.
White hair as well means usually experienced, and therefore, if you stay taking care of yourself as your hair gets whiter, it's a king or queen thing, and therefore,
Founder, CEO of a company that developed 5 drugs, about that?
Yeah, 5 are FDA approved. Yep.
Yeah, in 2020.
It's good. Flexing by association with other kings shows by implication that you're a king. Therefore, if you associate yourself with other kings.
Strive, which is a equity asset management company. You compete with BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard. Just competing with giants like that had to get you ready for this thing that you're competing with now. Harvard Law School graduate.
Notice the body language. Let me put it back of Vivek. Notice how his head is held up high, and notice behind him there is there's a flag of the United States. There is a flag also on his black on black. All the black is warrior. He's going for it, and notice he's using minimal effort. What I mean is he says, "Yep." He's not justifying. The less effort you put into anything, the more you show the king, because kings are supposed to have so much power that with one finger, with one small gesture, they get a lot of things happening. Silver fox, according to women. Yes, and according to, I remember there was a guy from RSD who did like silverback, gorilla, and silver fox. So yes, but in anyways, with time, you're supposed to improve, and therefore signs that you have been on this earth longer implies, or at least it's assumed, that you achieved more during that time. Therefore, it's a king thing. Let's put it, let's play it.
It's a king thing.
Always and forever.
And 2024 Republican nominee for President of the United States of America. Phenomenal.
That shows king as well, because before you have the real king, you need to have the king's ambition and vision. So even before you become a king, if you're speaking about your vision, your ambition, and how you're working towards it, the bigger the ambition, the more assumed that you will achieve great things. Most people have no ambition. They talk about things but don't do anything. And often their ambition is to chill and win the lottery. That's all. So him wanting to become the president and achieving the nomination, that means he's progressing on his vision. That shows king potential, which by implication is a king thing.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. You're able to see me too, by the way. I can see you.
Perfect,
all right,
perfect.
man. So I'm excited to talk to you. I've been excited to get right into it. So you tell me, and we'll go where you want.
Spaces is open.
Not good. And notice how Andrew Tate, Zerka, or whoever it is, they take over. When there is no agenda, they impose their agenda. He said, "You tell me where we go, and we'll go through it." Whatever it is, he said. It means he wants to follow Grant Cardone. That's not presidential. That's not a king thing, because although you're a guest, which is very true, this is in front of an audience. So for you to farm audience, you have to be leading every time and everywhere. So he should have led. For example, you can say it in a very diplomatic way, where you can say, "Oh, there is a big announcement or an important topic that I want to begin talking about soon. With your permission, can I start with that?" For example, that's very polite, but you are taking charge from the beginning, rather than saying, "Whatever you want to take it, I will go with you."
Into this, we'll do some Q&A with those guys. But
yep.
Look, you're emerging as a 2024 GOP star.
The watch as well of Grant Cardone, that's a king thing symbolism.
Nobody was paying attention to you, just 90 days ago. Am I right?
The name of it, Cardone Capital as well. Money and finance implies warrior king right there. And what did he say? He spoke about him that nobody knew Vivek 90 days ago. High speed of rise shows strength, shows big outlaw, shows king. It's also a symbol of being a winner, and people want to associate with winners.
Yeah, it's fair to say. Very fair.
So what happened, dude? What clicked? And so, you working with your group. I just asked my staff. I said, how easy were they to work with to arrange this? And Annie.
He's saying that they're such good peacemakers. That's what he's gonna. This is the implication of what he's talking about Grant Cardone.
Well, what do you mean? I said, no, compared to the other groups that we've worked with. And she said, you guys were so pleasant to work with.
I appreciate that. We try to pick people who don't take themselves too seriously.
Notice we try to pick people. That selectiveness, king standard, that he doesn't deal with anyone, but he's saying that we picked you, therefore you became part of our tribe. That's why we treat you with a peacemaker. That's what he is implying.
Brandon, he sometimes on the campaign trail wear a hat, says this is my first rodeo. And we're all
This is not good, although they're open about it, which is fine. You should assume as if you're fully experienced. Like, even though Donald Trump, it was his first rodeo, he did not say, oh, this is my first time, blah, blah, blah. These are excuses. And that lowers his primal status, Vivek, by saying we're pretty open that this is the first rodeo. Nope. You're a king, and therefore you need to have manifest destiny. It's part of the Odyssey story that you were born and destined to become the president of the US if you are Vivek. And therefore, it's not the first rodeo. All my life was a preparation for this moment.
My first rodeo in politics, too.
Yeah.
Not good, because that assumes that there is a big chance he will lose. He shouldn't. Delusional confidence is missing in that specific moment.
Bracing. So, look, I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't believe in boasting, but I also don't believe in false humility.
Yes, bragging about things that elevate your king is a good thing, and therefore that's false humility is bad. And saying things that are outright totally wrong, people, if they search, they think you're a liar, is a bad thing.
I was pretty confident when we started this campaign that the message was really going to take off. The rest of the world seemed very skeptical of it, and my experience.
He's shown the warrior. He shouldn't have said, I was pretty confident. He should have said, I was absolutely certain that the whole world, whatever it is. And anyway, he's saying he believed in something. Well, it was him against the world. And what is that? That is the warrior, because the warrior is defending his own beliefs and perspectives and visions more than the peer pressure, not kneeling to it. And the fact it worked, it shows he's a winner and therefore king. And therefore this was warrior king.
The country over the last 3 years speaking the truth. I mean, that's what woke.
This is great. Why he is saying speaking the truth. It means he's the holder of the truth. He knows the truth. It does two things. One, it shows the magician, the person able to create the map that shows the real truth, and warrior as well, the person who's willing to say the truth and deal with the heat and the consequences.
All about. That is what, Nation of Victims, Capitalist Punishment. I've written 3 books in the last 2 years, been to a majority of states in this country, and I didn't expect to run for president. I started thinking about it when people would come up to me at the end of.
This is part of the Vox Populi. It's a known tactic that a lot of tyrants, as well as politicians or even Caesar, would use. That, oh my God, we're doing this because we are representing the guardian. We are speaking for the people. This is the will of the people. Even when we break down Gladiator next weekend, we're breaking down the movie Gladiator. When Caesar tells to kill, and everybody else is like kill, it's supposed to be that he's representing the voice of the people, and that shows that you're taking your power from the people. It's a peacemaker king.
Demand that I consider it. Say, hey, listen, I really need you to think about running for president in 2024. And if a number of people who you don't know, you're in different states across the country, tell you that, it's hard to shake off. And if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have taken this idea seriously. So I think what's resonating with people, I think it is the fact that I really am not attached to a particular result here. My goal is to speak the truth at every step.
This is good and bad, but it's in a good way that he is laying the foundation that if he loses, he didn't really lose, because his goal was to say the truth, but he should believe and have delusional confidence. One of your favorite moves. Yes, thank you.
Rather lose the election.
It works, all of this. I'd rather lose the election. Not good, again, because he is playing the underdog who could lose. It's not now. Now you should be like, we're certain to win it, whatever it is. Later on, you will say that, later on, you can say all that it was your first rodeo, you exceeded all expectations, and this is just the beginning of a long road and march to freedom.
To veer from my beliefs, but I think that it turns out that might just be the winning political strategy, actually. And, you have a lot of people in politics who end up becoming super PAC puppets, and I don't say that disparagingly against them.
He's attacking others. They're super PAC puppets. It sounds great. And therefore, he's making them his own version of poop sock peasants. This is great. So, Sage, did you read the comment that I wrote to you? His Majesty and the tribe, thank you so much.
Your king thanks you.
Hey, Sage. So, Sage, I will say it again to you publicly. I recommend, as soon as possible, before next weekend, where we'll break down the Gladiator movie, join at least as a magician so that you are in the Telegram group and join us in the live streams. We have another very smart, interesting, intelligent woman who joined the tribe. She's contributing and learning and all that. So you should be there so that you support each other, and you'll find a friend there who discusses these things with you rather than staying outside the walls of the castle too near to the poop socks. So Primal, I saw your message, but I was on the train with bad reception and message didn't go through. Well, join and talk to her. She's a really fantastic human being.
Works.
So what does that mean? What is a super PAC? Because I don't know the game here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a term that you'll hear in politics either. It's kind of one that I made up, but it kind of describes what's going on, which is there's a mega donor class that determines who should and shouldn't run. They're the gatekeepers, typically even who gets in the race. You take a tin can, hat in hand, ask for permission to run. That comes with strings attached with what you can say on the hard issues. On the easy stuff, everybody's pretty aligned, you know, who can.
What is he doing there? He is literally doing warrior webs where he's putting everyone else, his competition, as bribed people who are caged and slave to the money. Well, he is not. This is a good frame. He has money. Instead of being the evil rich guy, he's saying, well, I don't need their money, so I'm not a slave to them. Well, all the others need the donors' money. It's a good warrior web. I'll release a training about this within weeks, but this is what he's doing, attacking everyone.
Pissing contest on who says the most anti-woke thing they can say. You know, in a Republican primary, that's par for course, and that's fine. And I wrote the book on wokeness, right? I wrote Woke Inc. And so
I wrote the book on wokeness. That's Magician King. Who writes books? Who's an author? That's a symbol of magician. And he wrote the book. So he is a high magician, therefore a king. Let's see. So, yes, Vivek is a pretty loaded last name. Yes, Ramaswamy. I don't know it very much, but thank you for that. I went to Brighton to spend some time by the beach. Yeah, I saw some of the pickup artists of the UK. They filmed themselves in Brighton in the summer. So I've seen videos of it. And enjoy sea and sunshine. Mother Nature is the best. That's a lover right there. BRH. Do you notice? Even in people's conversations, you can notice that Mother Nature is the best. What does it tell you about Sage? That she has the lover within her. Although she's an outlaw as well. Like she has a lot of other things.
Most of these convictions that others have adopted. But on the hard issues, right, in terms of how do we actually end a war in Ukraine that we should not be in, which becomes a no-win war, that we're on track to create another Vietnam?
Yeah.
Or the truth about what happened on January 6th, about bank bailout.
He is now talking about truths that the people, this is uncommon commonalities. I will release very soon, I believe probably next week or very soon after that, how to create uncommon commonalities. Because remember, when someone is thinking about something or experience something that they think not many people are can relate to, and you relate to it, you got them. They're like fictive kinship. We're soulmates. We're lost souls that are coming together. And by him talking about things that other politicians often will not be willing to talk about, or at least if they talk about, at least he's also covering them. He's trying to hit those uncommon commonalities.
Getting to the heart of what we will do as a nation to move forward beyond a politicized persecution of a former president of the United States that happens to be running against people like me in this race. That's complicated. We got to roll up our sleeves on the climate cult, on electric vehicle subsidies. I mean,
all those, he's just sharing all of the things that he wants to resonate with the different people. This is very similar to uncommon commonalities, although within the political sphere, they talk about different topics that are hot issues for the people who are watching.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And
who can handle the tough stuff? A king with a strong armor, warrior king. Right there. Who can handle the tough stuff? Warrior king. That's what he's implying right there.
Other candidates have a hard time.
Other candidates have a hard time. He is outlaw. He's aggressing and attacking the other candidates. And he is creating a tribe where he says, our tribe is the best. Join my tribe. All other tribes are losers and idiots.
There are consequences if they're beholden to somebody else, and I'm not. And I think that's something that's competitive advantage for me.
You're saying because
So he's saying they're beholden and afraid. It means they're not kings because someone else controlled them, and they're not warriors because they're afraid. Do you see how he's saying, I'm a warrior king? They're not kings and they're not warriors. He's attacking them. All the way, Benito Rodriguez. Sorry for watching late. Just busy at work. Great video. This guy, Vivek R, is good. Thank you, Benito. He keeps doing the primal push-pull where he switches between archetypes with a main focus on the warrior king. He's so smart and articulate. It's not if, but when he'll become El Presidente. Thank you, Sage. And you see, he's smart and articulate. Why is she thinking that? Which is correct. And BRH, you've seen it in the training today. This is activating within the lizard brain that responds to showing those energies of the gods. You see how it happens. It's automatic. He didn't say anything special, but the fact he's showing the archetypes nonstop, it just works to the lizard brain automatically. Nothing bad about it, Sage. We all have lizard brains. This is how human nature works.
They can't.
Yes, he's definitely PSC all the way. Not really. He made a few leveling mistakes that I pointed out, but 95% is superior to most people, and that's great.
Issued the January 6th, the bank bailouts, the persecution.
Yeah, if you're dependent on mega donors for your buttering your bread, you're restrained in what you can say.
What is that? Again, it's just a fact. Those are words to seem and to make it seem that what he's saying is true. So that's one of the things. And when MC will watch, add it to your list. It's just a fact. And he is saying again and reiterating, they're not kings and they're not warriors. They're begging for money, not kings. And they're not warriors for themselves. They're now warriors for their slave owners. Let's check. His face is funny now. Okay, I will need to reload that video. Let me check the exact time so that we return to it. It is 5 minutes and a half, and it's gonna be fun. That was funny. Some people will do that. I believe Jal does it where he stops.
Want to eliminate the
He stops the videos of the people in a place where their faces looks weird just for the fun of it.
For your buttering your bread, you're restrained in what you can say. It's just a fact.
So I didn't plan on talking to you about that because I don't really know about it. But these interviews are
not good. Cardone is playing a Trollo card of saying, I don't know this. Teach me about it. Let me know. He's becoming like he's making it. Did Vivek ask to son him? He didn't. But now what he is doing, Cardone, who's supposed to be a warrior magician king, he is saying, I'm not a magician. I'm an idiot. Explain it to me. He didn't do his research. And even worse, he is asking someone else to be his teacher and daddy. And that lowers his... Notice how it feels. I will put it back. Although he's saying curiosity, but I will put it back.
You can say.
Notice when he says, I don't know, all that confession of being ignorant lowers your primal status. Shut the fuck up.
I'm talking to you about that because I don't really know about it. But these.
Do you notice all that? Even the smile, it's a submissive smile and laugh that he is doing. Notice that 100%.
For my curiosity.
Do you see him as a high status when he confesses
to
that? Grant Cardone, notice, one, he has no plan, and therefore he's not the man with the plan. He's not a magician king because magician kings create plans, and he doesn't know things that he's interviewing him and ask him, please teach me in public, not in private. Notice this. Okay, the video, let me put back because the software is playing games with our hearts today, but it's fine. We overcome challenges. We overcome challenges like kings around here. So I want you to notice how it feels to your lizard brain that he has no status Cardone by confessing ignorance and not having plans and all those leveling behaviors.
Mega donors for your buttering your bread, you're restrained in what you can say.
Buttering your bread is a metaphor.
I didn't plan on talking to you about that because I don't really know about it. But these interviews are always for my curiosity.
Again, it's good. It's always for my curiosity. But before that, did you notice how much of a status crash this worked? So Sage, even Andrew T is not perfect PSC, admitted he and his brother got beaten up by Moldovans and had to flee the country this week for 2 fighters. Yes, I remember the stories. I believe he said it happened twice, 2 times. So very uncommon of the outlaw king, Grant Cardone. Yes, very uncommon. I'm surprised he's doing it. Maybe he sees Vivek as a president higher status than him. So his lizard brain is submitting without him paying attention. Vivek is very aware of his optics. Look how calm and well prepared. You have to, if you're playing to be a president, it is, remember.
Now, this is truly the game of kings.
I'd happily marry Vivek and become the first lady. You deserve it very much, Sage. I hope that for you. And
We are in agreement.
Well, there's about, maybe 100 people, roughly speaking, maybe a couple hundred people in the Republican Party, and there's their counterparts in the Democratic Party, and sometimes they overlap between the two parties. And my view was they can come along if they want, absolutely, like any citizen in this journey. But I am going to speak the truth at every step, and I'd rather.
and he's saying because if he said that and shut up and someone discovered that he was given big money by big donors, he will be exposed. So he said they can come in as any citizen on this journey. One, a king who has his own subjects, and two, it's a metaphor. And he said he's committed to telling the truth at every juncture. Why is that? Because politicians tend to be fake, and so he's saying I'm a warrior, and warriors respect truth and tradition and honesty and anyway, what's going on with this video doesn't matter. The lessons are too precious, so we will fix it because that's what we do. Against all odds, we make everything work.
Tells me we can actually.
Let's put it back.
Group of small dollar donors that have lifted us up.
Okay,
they can come along if they want, absolutely, like any citizen in this journey. But I am going to speak the truth at every step, and I'd rather invest my own money rather than begging somebody else for theirs first to get this campaign off the ground. And so I put over $15 million of my hard-earned money into this campaign already.
15?
And then over 15 actually already. And then I've had a group of small dollar donors that have lifted us up. We have about 70,000 small dollar donors.
Wow, congratulations.
The threshold for the first Republican debate's 40,000. We're already past 70,000 and growing. Wow. And the beautiful part about this is 40% of them are first-time ever donors to a Republican in any kind.
Wow.
So it says we're bringing new people in. That tells me we can actually deliver a landslide election because, I think there are.
That's much, much better. We can deliver a landslide election. That's illusional confidence. We're bringing new people in. It means he's conquering psychological territory. Therefore, he's a king. People are supporting him, paying him money. It's a king thing. Let's say it.
It's a king thing.
Because
you can buy a lot of allies with one of these.
So he's married. It's fine. I'm sure he will divorce his wife just to be with you and give you the first lady title. Arjoms, what's up? Vivek does have the proper king energy body language. Yes. Big king move, drop the donation number, very king. I agree with you. And he's going for if you have seen the NASB next level, that is the correspondence to safe. And that's what he's saying. It's safe. He's copying a lot of Trump, but appealing to intellectuals. Yes. And you see, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can use what works, but then give your own flavor and different things. So Trump was doing the same, but as an outlaw. Vivek is doing the same as a magician and as a warrior at the same time.
I'm supposed to say this, but I absolutely think Donald Trump or other Republican candidates can beat Joe Biden.
What is he saying? You're not supposed to say this. What does it mean? He's revealing secrets, which is both knowing secrets means the magician, and saying secrets without worrying about consequences is a warrior.
In a narrow, 50.1 style election, you do the math, I think it's possible. But I think I'm the only candidate who can actually deliver a landslide in 2024, like Ronald Reagan did in 1980. And we see it in the data. I mean, the difference is young people.
Yeah.
40% of our donors, many of them are young people coming along that never would have come with the Republican Party. I personally think this has to be a landslide election. We need a moral mandate to revive our missing national identity, to shut down the administrative state, to do the kinds of things I want to get done. That's going to require a moral mandate. But, I think that it's being unconstrained is, I think, a big competitive advantage. And, the other people are on TV ads in Iowa and New Hampshire more than I am right now, because that's what having giant super PACs behind you can buy you early in the race.
Yeah. So Vivek, let's just talk about money.
He's reframing it. Did you see the others are not winning? They have giant super PACs that enslave them and allow them to win by buying wins instead of really winning.
Small donors help you right now. Like somebody's listening to this right now. You've already resonated with them and they want to go send 50 or $100.
Or $1 fine too. That helps us build a movement. It's a snowball effect. It also is, helping criteria for the debate stage, subjective criteria for how we're placed on that stage. So honestly, people go to Vivek2024.com. $100 would be great. A dollar is perfectly acceptable too. That helps us build.
Give me the website again.
Yep, Vivek20.
It's good that he's supporting him. He's building alliances, Cardone, but he shouldn't lower his status earlier on when he was like, I don't know, explain it to me, all that. But for now, it's good. If you reach a high level, you become the alliance builder rather than the attacker. That works very, very, very well. So borrowing authority from Reagan. Yes, you notice, Vladimir. I love this. It's good. Let's see if he lives up to that kind of reputation. Anyway, for him to get the opportunity to live up to that reputation, he should delusionally confident about the fact he believes he can. Appear to Ronald Reagan Weaver stands as an equal to a former president. You see, equal, not lower. That's why Grant Cardone was lowering himself to Vivek. It's not good. And anyway, now he is calling people to action. Remember, kings give orders and call people to action, even if they don't, assuming that they will support and giving them the opportunity to support shows that he is a king and therefore given orders and commands and suggestions.
.com. So Vivek 2024.com. Yeah.
Okay. Andy, go there right now and put $100 in. Right now.
I appreciate that, brother.
We'll get everybody.
More of the alliance. He's being a peacemaker. I'm supporting you. I'm good, which is okay. And put $100. Depends. Do you consider that a king or not? It doesn't matter. But he did it too quickly. He's too frenetic. I'll put it back just for you to see that when he did that. Let me put it back.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
No, let me put it.
Is perfectly acceptable too.
I want you to notice, notice how quick and frenetic that Cardone is trying to help. That shows low status and it shows they're not equal. And therefore, Vivek will never see him as an equal.
That helps us build
Give me the website again.
Yep. Vivek2024.com.
1 second. You'll see the speed of submission, speed of service.
Andy, go there right now and put $100 in.
No, he's almost like stumbling upon his words. It's trying to suck up too hard, which shows that deep down, he doesn't see himself as a king. He is intimidated by Vivek currently.
I appreciate that, brother.
We'll get everybody going. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Because
and notice how he treated him with a peacemaker. Vivek, because he supported, he called him brother, which is, he said, now you're part of my tribe, so you can see my peacemaker side. But the frenetic, like if you behave without the poise of the king, if you're too frenetic like he's going to be right now, Cardone, it shows people that you are lower status. Your serotonin is not high, and serotonin makes you calmer and more peaceful.
Put there right now and put $100 in right now.
I appreciate that.
And his eyes, you see his eyes like a happy girl.
I appreciate that.
Because look,
that's grassroots. That's what we want.
Exactly. And this is, everybody is going on the internet right now. You guys see information, but if you never do anything.
He's going now for philosophy right now, Cardone. Philosophy elevates your status and shows the magician king.
Like what I just did, you're not going to run for president. I don't know how small the number is, but it's you got a better chance of winning the lottery than running for president of the United States. You guys, it's very easy for you guys to throw $100 in or $50 in or 25 and support this man. Regardless of where you're at, support somebody. How important is that the people get involved in this cycle?
Critical. I think that I understand all the reasons why people want to be disengaged, right? I mean, we have a broken system. We're riding broken rails, the electoral system and otherwise. But that's why we need a freight train. I think that's why 2024 has to be a landslide. This cannot be small margin. I was having a conversation earlier today, actually, and I want to put an optimistic note on this, right? We live in a moment where we are repeatedly lied to. And I think this is the moment where we, the people, say we can handle the truth. You ever watch that movie, A Few Good Men? Yeah. You can handle the truth. That's Jack Nicholson. No, Jack Nicholson represents the Joe Biden view, the Anthony Fauci view, right? We have to.
No, it's attacking everyone, all the Fauci, the everything. Outlaw right now. He's doing the trickster, though, by pretending he's someone else. Embodying a character that he's making fun of is trickster.
So what he says, no, We don't need you on that wall. And yes, we can handle the truth about what happened with the origin of COVID-19, the truth about what happened on January 6th, the truth about government censorship via tech companies to do it, the truth about the Hunter Biden laptop and the bribe from Ukraine and from China, the truth about Jeffrey Epstein, the truth about the Nashville shooter, you name it. Publish that manifesto. I'm going to Nashville tomorrow to call for the police to release that manifesto. We can handle the truth. And that's in part what the American Revolution was about. And so the positive view of this is we live in a unique moment, right? There are rare moments in human history. I think we live in a 1775 moment. That's what I think 2023.
We live in the 1775. Magician recall in the past as metaphor for the future. So let's see. Maybe Grant thinks he could extract more value gain by being the bottom G of Vivek. Yes, I know, but it's not good because Vivek will always see him as below him. That's what I mean. You get the maximum value by being seen as an equal to other kings rather than a chief of a fiefdom. Google says Vivek is rich as fuck. Still, it's psychological. Like right now, even in the beginning, you didn't see it, our Jones. Vivek was like, wherever you take me, I'll follow whatever it is. That was a lower status thing. That was too much of a peacemaker. Therefore, Cardone had the opportunity to at least be equals to them. But I know he spoke about him. He said Vivek is competing with BlackRock, Vanguard, and all those big companies in his business. So I missed what he said about the Revolutionary War in the US. I'll put it back so that you can hear it and you can
from
see
China, the truth about Jeffrey Epstein, the truth about the Nashville shooter, you name it. Publish that manifesto. I'm going to Nashville tomorrow to call for the police to release that manifesto. We can handle.
Not really good when you say, I'm there to call for the police. It means you have no power. You're not really a king since you're calling for the police, and therefore there is no real might within that. I'll put it back. You're welcome, and I'll let it play.
And that's in part what the American Revolution was about. And so the positive view of this is we live in a unique moment, right? There are rare moments in human history. I think we live in a 1775 moment.
I love that he's doing a metaphor, making himself part and almost like a revolution again. And therefore, he's a leader of a revolution to elevate his status. Plus, when he says we live in a rare moment, it's part of the 5 qualifications. And when we'll reveal that, take note, especially you, BRIH. When I reveal the 5 qualifications, you'll see he's doing something that is part of the web of beliefs right now to push people to action. I will go to war with this man. Notice the effect of Primal Status Elevation. Vladimir, you're great. I'm not saying it in any bad way. And you never met this guy. He doesn't know who you exist. And still, the lizard brain wants to connect with him. Ambitious, that's king. Energetic. Well, when you're winning, your lizard brain rewards you with serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, and that gives you energy and passion. And therefore, he's saying he's a king. He's a winner. Intelligent, of course, is the magician. Approachable is the peacemaker. Do you see that? He's saying peacemaker, magician. Energetic means he's a winner, and therefore he has the passion. And ambitious is a king, where before you become a real king, you need the ambition in order to desire to be a king. So is that why you like Vivek? Because he's rich. You're funny, R. Jones, but I know what you mean. What did he say about the reason for Revolutionary War just prior to that statement? He did not say that, I believe. He just said he's going to say it now. So this is a great video to study Primal. You did, again, pointing out how strategy works. Excellent. Always and forever.
That's what I think 2023 is. It's a 1775 moment where there's electricity in the air, and all the reasons we have to be despondent. The answer is no. You don't hide from the electricity in the air. You go outside. You catch it. You do something.
Do you see that? That's part of the charge cycle. Instead of hiding from the charge, you catch it and you go outside. Do you remember when I explained to you that you spark the charge? You go into the unknown with your outlaw, and you turbocharge your charge so that you can break what is outside using your charge, so that you inject it into other people, or use it as a shield. I explained all the archetypes and etc. in the Forbidden live stream, which was about the Dark Knight as well as Fight Club. Both of them, I explained the whole process of the charge cycle. He is saying that And our Jones, you know the charge cycle. Notice what he's talking about. I'll put it back. He's
We
talking
live
about
in a 1775 moment.
first metaphor, plus he's putting this as important so that people take action and
That's
vote.
what I think 2023 is. It's a
He shouldn't have said this is what I think. He should have just straight up delusional confidence. This is what 2023 is.
1775 moment where there's electricity in the air.
What's that charge? There is a lot of charge in the air.
And all the reasons we have to be despondent, the answer is no. You don't hide from the electricity in the
You don't hide, so you don't avoid the charge
air.
cycle.
You go outside.
You go outside, that's outlaw right there. You go out of the comfort zone using the charge. Do you see that? He's explaining it right away. It's beautiful.
Catch it. You do something
You catch it,
with it.
you do something with it. That's a charge cycle. He's telling people go through the charge cycle, which is society is breaking with it. So let's see. Hello, Toro. I'm happy to see you here. I wish you all the success. Thank you for the kind words. And all I can say is,
I'll take that as a compliment.
and Toro, you're a king as well. Happy to have you here.
Choice in this Republican primary. Do you want incremental reform working within the system we have? Do you want incremental reform or do you want revolution?
What is this? Heaven and hell. Heaven and hell. He's saying, do you want heaven or do you want hell?
A revolution, the American Revolution. And we
He's saying people, our tribe goes for revolution. It's a lot of fun. I knew nothing about Vivek, and today is the first time I listened to Vivek speak for 5 minutes. He's got the billionaire energy. Yes, the the big balls, big dick energy, which you don't. Arjun's Blackwood. Oh my God. She's killing you, Arjun.
live in moments such as these. And if we wake up to that and say, no, we're not just going to disengage, go into our clamshell and hide. But no, we are about to actually rise up as a people for the good, for the idea.
What is he presenting there? He's presenting a narrative that they're rising up as people so that people feel the feel that lizard brain desire for adventure and outlaw. He's doing it. I've just checked Vivek is a billionaire on Forbes list. Yes.
In a good way, in a way that engages in the not only the electoral process, but exercising our voice as citizens. Boy, is that an opportunity that we have. And I think that's the moment we live in.
So you said something about donations even control or manage or decide where you're at on a stage during a debate?
Yeah, I mean, I think that so they haven't been super clear about all the criteria that go in, but you have to hit minimum donor thresholds of 40,000 for the first, 50,000 for the second, 60,000 for the third. The good news is at this point, I mean, criteria like that are designed to keep, newcomers and outsiders out.
What is he doing there? He is making it so that our tribe, if you contribute, our tribe will have higher status on the stages. Our tribe will be up front, and therefore people will think, let's go. I want to cheering for their team. When we support him with money, he will have a better position on the stage, and therefore our tribe will look more like a winner, and that increases people's serotonin. He is associating it. You donate to him, your serotonin will increase.
It, and even I think former professional politicians and vice presidents, et cetera, haven't hit it yet. So I'm good there. Now the next step is going to be the subjective metrics of even, how the media covers you, right? The media is not taking me seriously as a candidate. They just aren't. There will be reporters that will repeatedly cover candidates that are polling well.
Not good. That word, that frame, the media is not taking me seriously. Nobody can in this world and life take you not seriously. You can say that the media is trying to suppress us. You play a little bit to the Tate way by saying the Matrix is trying to attack us and favor their cronies, whatever it is. Don't say anything like that where you say, oh, they don't take us seriously. Nobody in this world does not take you seriously. It's a leveling behavior. Imagine Vivek is self-made billionaire 38, Arjun Blackwood is still living at mama's basement.
That won't mention me in articles. And I'm not whining about it. I'm just, I'm kind of laughing about it.
I get it.
But one of the metrics that they use is, all right, how many unique donations do you have, right? Are you actually, it's not just the poll numbers, but people actually parting ways with money. Some of that's actually absolute dollars that people are able to raise. Actually, one program we launched is, I'll lift the curtain on this one, is there's a special class of political fundraisers that get a cut of what they raise, up to 10% of what they raise for you as a bundler or whatever, they get to keep it. Well, my view is, why do I want to pay some member of a cartel to do that when everybody could do it? So we launched.
Now he's calling the status quo cartel. What does it mean? Again, he's an outlaw who's breaking what exists in order to lift people out of the enemies that are holding them hostage.
Honestly, anybody here who's good at selling a message and raising funds, join that for us. You get to keep 10% of what you raise for us. I say if some political cartel is doing it, might as well open that up to every citizen to be able to do the same thing. That just launched recently. Again, you go to that website, vivek2024.com, you raise $100,000.
He's using affiliate marketing, the same strategy that Tate used when people will create those TikToks about him to join the war room and to join Hustlers University and make money that way. He is doing the same thing, Vivek, for himself.
And people say, oh, isn't that wild? No, actually, that's literally how the system works right now. It's just that a small group of people get to do it. Why shouldn't everybody get to do it?
Right.
And
right.
so Biden says 10% for the big guy. I say 10% for the little guy. But let's unleash ourselves in building what is a grassroots snowball effect. So it's how the media covers you, then the absolute dollars. Right now, we are not on TV. We're not doing TV ads in national or other places. Other candidates are. Actually, I haven't had a podcast like this where I'm talking about the business side of this.
Yeah.
Other people are on TV. He's not. And BRH, I saw that you wrote a message in the Telegram. For some reason, my Telegram right now does not want to open. Does it work for you? Does it not work for you? Let me know.
Because I want to get into some of that stuff, but I want people to understand
the mechanics,
how on lockdown this is. Because I think the voter, the little guy, me, understand competition, understand being suppressed, understand how rigged the system is. Whether
it is rigged.
You're trying to get a bank loan, you're trying to get a checking account, you're trying to get a savings account, you're trying to get 5% interest rather than 0.5%. We
Totally.
understand how stacked the deck is, whether you're white, brown, or black, male or female. And so when I think what we don't understand is how rigged the political system is.
It is.
And you now see that from because of what you're doing.
Yeah, so the way it works is you've got these professional mercenaries who are like the political consultant class in the
Notice professional mercenaries. One, mercenaries don't have allegiance to any truth or to anybody, and therefore they're in it for themselves. And that's him, Putin, doing a warrior web where any of those people you think, oh, they're mercenaries, they're bad people. He's attacking everybody.
Candidates are like commodities. They come and go. And they're their little less shiny toy, but these people continue to make money off of that system. It is an industry. It is a massive, ugly underbelly of an industry. More people will make money off this 2024 presidential election than any election in human history. Many of them are trying to make money off of me, okay? So I see how this game's played. And then they...
Again, attacking the status quo, that he is the outsider, the liberator, and that the game is rigged. Human beings always think that whatever exists is bad and against them. Yes, what do you mean? Yes, it works, or yes, it's updating for you.
So a lot of these reporters, it's a funny story the other day, on Sunday, a reporter from a major newspaper, he calls me, he says, he's literally reading off of the bullet points of something that was handed over to him by a super PAC consultant about quotes from my books that they're trying to play gotcha on. And then he's like, I'm like, I don't remember writing that. And then I'm opening my book. I'm like, it doesn't say this in there. I'm in the middle of the interview. I was like, where does it say this in the book? And then he was fumbling over. I was like, wait a minute. Then I was like, do you even have the book that you're asking me? He's like, no. Have you opened it? I was like, no. So you're literally just reading off a memo at some deadline that you have to publish a story, which is really just fed to you by a guy who's a repeat player in the political consulting class. It doesn't even come from the other candidates, right? The other
Again, spending his time talking about enemies. This is part of hell and the demons of hell, when I'll share more about that framework. But those who know PSE communication container, he's going for hell and the depths of hell.
It's their super PACs and their consultants that are driving all of this. And so I refuse to play that game. And that's why they dislike me, right? Their whole game in the media right now is don't even attack this guy. Right now, just ignore him, and hopefully it goes away.
Meaning you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what they tried to do to Trump in 2015. And it's like you
He's equating himself to Donald Trump and to the journey of Trump in 2015, who ended up winning. And therefore, he's saying they did the same to me, to Trump. But if Trump won, he's creating, using metaphor to steal status from Trump.
Or like an antigen to a body, it has an immune response.
Oh, metaphor. He's an outsider. He's like an antigen to a body. It has an immune response. I love it. So, Lowell, come on, you know this, older billionaires for younger billionaires, of course, they will have two different energies. The outcome still stays the same.
Happening now is first you ignore it, then you criticize it.
Isn't this similar to what Trollo Tomasi says? First they blah, 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 and then they attack you, and then they do that. They always try. He's predicting the future, showing the magician that he understands the map of how things work.
That's exactly how that's the way the plot went in 2016. I think it's the way it's going to go this time.
So at what point, though, do you have to embrace, because what's it going to take to run? I mean, what's going to be spent in totality on
$2 billion.
this?
The winner of this election is going to have to spend $2 billion.
The winner spends $2 billion.
Yeah.
In totality, so you're talking about $10 to $12 billion.
Billions. I mean, it goes down a lot after the two for the next, but it'll be billions of dollars. Didn't they spend
$7 billion in Michigan on the Senate race?
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, a couple of these other races, and it's an industry because the leeches in the middle make a lot of the money. So my view is I'm calling that bluff. And I say, anybody out there, you want to make money and just do the same thing the political cartel is doing, go to Vivek2024.com, sign up for the kitchen cabinet. There's a standard legal process and everything you go through. And then you raise money, keep 10% of what you raise. They hate me for this because it breaks up their cartel.
Right.
And these are the guys who actually wield the power even more than the candidates. And there's an analogy to the federal government here, right? Because then the myth in the federal government is it's the president of the United States who actually runs the show, that it's the Biden decisions that are holding this country back. It's not, guys. That too is just a farce. He's just a puppet that sits on top of a machine that was there long before he arrived and that will be there long.
So he's making the POTUS a puppet and therefore disdain for the actual king, which shows that he's higher than the king. And secondarily and importantly, he's attacking the whole system. He's literally doing the Tate and all the as well as the Donald Trump of draining the swamp. The Tate of the Matrix is against us. He's going for it.
He's gone. And to tell you the truth, if I'm the nominee, and I'm expecting to be the nominee, but if I'm the nominee, that machine isn't even going to let him run, right? Because they know I would blow him out in a landslide. That's why they're keeping the documents case lording over his head, right? Or they're keeping a lot of the other stuff that they're not dropping on him now. That hammer will drop if a guy like me is the nominee. Then they put up a new puppet, whip out the next puppet, the Michelle Obama or the Gavin Newsom. So that's just how this game is played, is even in the government, the people who we think we elect to run the government, like the U.S. president, are not the people who actually run the government. It's, again, that managerial class. Just like in the campaign, as I'm seeing now, it's the political consultant machinery, the super PAC machinery that runs the show, and the candidate's just a little toy and the puppet who sits on top. It's a farce. It's a game.
So, Vivek, who are these people then? Like it's 100 people.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the donors in the managerial class broadly who's...
Notice broadly. Again, just like Andrew Tate, when he gets asked, who are they? Who is the Matrix? He never answers blatantly too much. So let's see. And BRH, I saw your message. It's acting weird, but it's fine. You have neither, probably barely a minimum salary if you're lucky. Numbers are not set in stone. They change every minute. Time just hasn't caught up to me yet. Ambitious one. I'm just too fast. Yes. You're so ahead of your time. Your parents haven't met yet. That's a big L verse. Spewing simple truisms now. Yes, he's going for it because many people, for the lizard brain, complex things sound too intimidating. They need very, very quick truths.
So it's the same kinds of people who become the assistant secretary, undersecretary of God knows what, or an ambassador to some second-tier nation, that then become the associate dean of whatever at a university, that then gain a professional seat on 3 corporate boards, getting paid, mid-6 figures for showing up at 3 board meetings a year. It's the managerial class, and that's the real divide in this country right now. It is not between...
The real divide. This is reframing 100%. And the one who is the doctor who diagnoses the real disease, if you are the person who diagnoses the real disease, you're one magician and king. And people want to follow you because they assume if this person knows the problem, they're the one who can solve it.
Republicans and Democrats who disagree on policy.
Notice it's not X against Y. What is he saying? It's something totally different and nobody sees it. Therefore, he's the genius who does.
It is between the managerial class and the citizen. It is the Great Reset versus the Great Uprising. I stand on the side of the Great Uprising. I think Bobby Kennedy.
Two names, and heaven and hell. So hell is the Great Reset. Heaven is the Great Uprising. And he's on the side of the Great Uprising.
The Great Uprising, right? It's not a Republican versus Democrat thing. It is the managerial class versus the citizen. And I think this is the 1776 question, because I go back to when I said it's a 1775 moment right now. Yeah. There's electricity in the air. This is the moment we live in. We live in a unique time. We shouldn't be frustrated or upset about this. I think we should be encouraged, actually. We live in a unique moment in history. Now, will we buckle and stick to some sort of partisan divide about tax rates and say we're on the side of the Republicans and we favor reform? I think reform is a false promise. Many people who make that promise don't even know it's a false promise, but it's a false promise.
Notice, other people are not smart enough to know that it's a false promise. He knows, and therefore he's a magician king. Again, lowering the status, attacking everyone else, and increasing his own status. Same strategies you see in the manosphere he's using, with a little bit more class and elegance, but basically it's the same principle. Again, I like the hand, though. It's like the Thanos thing. Let me reload the video. Today is playing games with us, but it's fun because we are masterful at these games, and therefore we keep winning. 1 second, I remember exactly where we stopped. It was around here.
I think a revolution as in the ideals of the American Revolution, right? I do not think this has to end in the way that, wait another 20 years, that might be where we are, right? I think this is our window to get it right by people standing up through knowledge, through speech, through unapologetic speech.
Knowledge and speech, magician, unapologetic, warrior right there.
So this is the moment where we exercise those free speech rights without apology. This is the moment where we actually stand up for those 1776 ideals. Take some personal risk. Maybe you take a risk of losing your job. Maybe. To be very honest with you, you may take the risk of your internet accounts being locked. Maybe. You may take the risk of being debanked. These are the risks we take, but we can make a sacrifice if we know what we.
What is that? Taking risks, telling them that he is taking risks and asking them to take risks. He's saying we're outlaws and triggering within them that exciting experience of being outside of their comfort zone and the serotonin of belonging to a tribe of outlaws.
4. And that is this thing we call America. So I want to be very clear about this. I stand on the side of peace, because you tell people they cannot speak, that is when they scream. If you tell people they cannot scream, that is when they tear things down. That is what gave us January 6th. I don't want to see that happen again. And so I want to be very clear about that. But I think we live in a unique moment where we reject the managerial class and the everyday citizen. It's the Great Reset on the one side. It's the Great Uprising on the other. And I stand on the side of the Great Uprising. And I think the way we do it is by exercising to the fullest our legal constitutional rights, which too many people are afraid to do today.
So, okay. So, and part of that would be to go to support you.
All that is philosophy. Sharing philosophy shows high status, and it makes people want to follow you.
I don't know how to support other candidates. I know they all want money. I had a guy in here the other day. I had Christian from the Florida. What's Christian's last name, Andy? You remember? You probably know him. He runs the GOP Florida, the entire state. Young guy.
Okay, I think I might have met him once. Yep.
And I said, dude, what's it cost to run for governor of the state of Florida? He said $130 million.
It's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, this thing should not be an industry the way it is. It makes me mad. Honestly, people volunteering would be amazing too, right? I think volunteers are powerful if they're actually invested in the cause. So, I mean, you go to that same website, you sign up. Absolutely. We will use volunteers.
Invested in the cause. Warriors are invested in the cause. If you create the cause, you're a king, and you create your cause with your philosophy.
It's not, in my case, it's not talking.
colonialism, everything, everything. You're very correct. You read between the lines.
Isn't about me.
Yeah.
It's talking about our actual message of truth. Spread the truth. There are two genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their kids. Capitalism lifts people up. Spread these messages across our country. Our Constitution is the strongest guarantor of freedom in human history, and we will stand up for it, and we will fight for it, and we will not bend the knee.
All that philosophy right there, philosophy of warrior kings and magicians.
Right now, I'm volunteering to be your instrument, our instrument, to get this done. That's the way I see my role in this.
That's exciting, man.
That's the way we do this.
Yeah. So let's just take some of these issues that you brought up. Okay.
Sure.
And I saw the X. I don't think I'm supposed to call them tweets anymore. They're
Okay.
X's, you know. Let's talk about reverse racism. Okay. I have a huge audience of people that don't look like me that follow me. Some of them like me, some of them don't. I never say it right way. If I took on this reverse racism thing, that there's no such thing as racism. If you're black, you cannot be a racist. Like, it would go nuclear. What are you saying to me? That black?
I'm saying that anybody can be racist. I've experienced it. I've experienced racism in my life. Look, first thing I want to say is we need to take this construct that just because you experience racism, your life is ruined. I stub my toe. I don't let it ruin my day. Okay. We all stub our toe. It's like, okay, has somebody said some racist things to me in the past? Yes. Do I let it ruin my life or even my day? No, I don't. And I think, by the way, it's a lot different today than even it was in the 1990s when I was growing up in Southwest Ohio. A little bit different in the year 2023. Good. Things change. Move forward.
Odyssey story dropped a few uncommon commonalities and parts of his Odyssey story right there.
Racism. It's come from white people. It's come from black people. I probably...
He's doing reframing right now. By reframing, it's a polarization move. And if people are convinced, he penetrated them intellectually using the magician.
From black people than I have from white people in my life. I think it might make some people upset to hear that, but it's my experience, right? And I'm speaking the truth. And I think black people have experienced racism from Indian American people and from white people and whatever too. But what I believe is that we should live in a country where we don't judge each other on the color of our skin, but on the content of our character.
But you would agree.
I believe in it.
You would agree that it's still harder.
I believe in it. Philosophy right there. Although he copied someone else's principle, he's sharing philosophy all day. When people buy into your philosophy, what makes a tribe a tribe? It's shared philosophy and common goals, and therefore he's selling his philosophy by spreading it, broadcasting it. The right people will resonate and come, and the wrong people will be like, I don't care, goodbye. And that's how he polarizes it.
To earn interest even on a savings account, like a fair.
It is, and I'll tell you why it is.
Yeah.
Economic disparities. I'll tell you where those economic disparities begin, with a broken educational system, which traps kids in the school districts where they're born. That is the civil rights issue of our time, right? Young kids are trapped by their zip code. It's like a modern ghetto system when it comes to education. The public schools that are spending the most per student are the ones with the poorest results. So I favor school choice on steroids. Put money into those parents' hands, dissolve the Department of Education, empower them to send their kids to the best schools. Oh, and by the way, take some of that money from the public school with them, put it in the kid's account. On our plan, that kid graduates with a $250,000 graduation gift when he graduates from high school just by starving the teachers' union-laden bureaucracy. You tell me what's a better use of money. Then it goes upstream of education to the family. You know what? If you grow up in a single-parent household, I don't care what your skin color is. You're 8 times more likely to end up in jail. You are 8 times more likely to be a drug user, more likely to end up in poverty.
Aren't those things that Zerka says all the time? Anyway, he's trying to use examples and bamboozle people using poop sock peasants, using the magician and the illusion and perspective that he has data about all this. Private schools already get public funds. There is a truth bomb. Yes.
Likely to graduate from high school. So now let's take the colorblind.
If what happens?
If you're in a single parent household.
Again, what happens? He's so hesitant, so hard. Cardone. I have a dream that my four little children, while they live in a nation where they'll not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Yes, Martin Luther King. Thank you.
Every stat just goes off the charts.
Off the charts, right? So then let's try this
but how do
filter
you
on.
solve that? How do you solve that? Like I was raised by a single mom.
Yes. So, and by the way, I want to be the first to say this. There are many people who succeed despite that, and that's a great thing. But that doesn't mean that's what we should wish for everyone.
That's right.
And so here's an answer. I visited the south side of Chicago. I went to
Did you notice that reframe, that's pacing and leading? He's saying it's okay that you are like that, but leading them, that's not what we should wish for everyone.
of Philadelphia. These are places where Republican candidates don't go. There are women in those communities who are paid more money not to have a man in the house than to have the man in the house. So the federal government should not create an incentive structure. I don't blame the families. I blame a federal government that creates bad incentives for these people. People get paid, in many cases, more money not to go to work than to go to work. That's a bad incentive. You're talking about Kensington. People get paid free crack pipes and free needles through the so-called aid programs instead of having a path off of drugs like heroin. So I think we do have a bad habit in this country of paying people to do the exact opposite of what we should want them to do, what's best for them. And so these are solvable problems. So I don't blame people. Say, are you blaming the victim here? No.
This is good. These are solvable problems, and it implies he knows how to solve them, which makes people like a doctor who diagnoses a disease. They trust that doctor first to cure it. It's a very, very, very important like unlocking mechanism to the lizard brain. If you are, and that's why we have heaven and hell, if you identify hell and diagnose it well, people trust you to take them to heaven.
But I think that if you just take that statistic on fatherlessness or single parent households, the facile explanation for saying, okay, Black and, Hispanic people are behind on economic or educational achievement results, that's true. But blaming that on racism today is, I think, a lazy explanation, because here's a different prism. Whether you're
Isn't that the Illuminati Freemason thing? Let's put it, the symbol. Isn't that what like Hova, which is like Jay-Z as well as Andrew Tate do?
Lazy
Let's see.
explanation, because
No, it's not. You see
here's
that?
a different prism.
You
Whether
see
you're
that?
Black, white, brown,
What's going on there? That was so funny. He's like, he's like Illuminati-ing it up. That's funny. Vivek is saying that people need to stop playing the victim card. It's very empowering. Opposite from woe is me, poor soul. I know, and we're analyzing the structure underneath what he's saying, not the words themselves, because the words can be replaced, but the structure is universal. Let me put it back. Let's put it back. This is fun.
I don't blame people. Say, are you blaming the victim?
Let's
No,
see
I'm
some
not.
fun
Actually.
Illuminati symbolism.
But I think that if you just take that
We should create Invictus King
statistic
symbolism as
on
well.
fatherlessness or single parent households,
Let's
the
see.
facile explanation for saying, okay,
Thank you,
Black and,
Vladimir.
Hispanic people are behind on economic or educational achievement results.
Well, Vladimir, that's why.
I am legend.
Let's
That's
keep
true.
going.
But blaming that on racism today is, I think, a lazy
Let's
explanation.
wait
because
for it. You see,
here's a different
one
prism.
and
Whether you're Black, white,
I believe
brown,
he did it.
Asian, if you grew up in a single parent household, that's exactly
Let's
the
do it
outcomes
again.
you'd reach.
Uh-huh.
And then you just look at disparities in single parent households. It's like 45% of Black kids versus 9% of Asian kids, or less than 9% of Asian kids. Okay, that explains the difference in results. And so we should want to fix that for all
This
kids.
is so
regardless of-
quick. He did it. Let's put it back because he did it so quickly. That's like a signal to the
I think,
Illuminatis. I'm one of you.
Lazy explanation, because
Look, you see
here's a
that? You see
different
that?
prism.
He
Whether you're
did.
Black, white, brown,
He did.
Asian,
Let's put it back. That's really
are
fun.
behind on economic or educational
I
achievement
like
results.
that.
That's true. But blaming that on
He's
racism
gonna do it
today
right
is,
now.
I think, a lazy explanation, because
You see,
here's a different prism.
There.
Whether you're Black, white, brown,
That's
Asian,
fun.
if you grew up in a single parent household, that's exactly the outcomes you'd reach.
Uh-huh.
And then you just look at disparities in single parent households. It's like 45% of Black kids versus 9% of Asian kids, or less than 9% of Asian kids. Okay, that explains the difference in results. And so we should want to fix that for all kids, regardless of their skin color.
But how do you fix it? How do you keep that man from leaving?
Not good.
so-
The fact he's stretching Cardone means he's uncomfortable. And remember, when we broke down Mad Men yesterday, we spoke about the importance of being the most comfortable person in your body language in any interaction. This is poop sock peasantry.
Part of this can't be fixed by the government.
I'll put it back just for you to notice.
Having a path
Cardone.
off of drugs.
Let's
And
see
so
it.
here's an answer. I visited the south side of Chicago.
No, is it here? Where is it?
The public school with them, putting the kids.
Okay, let's
And
go.
so here's an answer.
Here's here's the answer. Okay, where is that? UCC Illuminati fun, Andrew Tate style. Let's keep going.
Regardless of their skin color.
But how do
You
you
see
how do
that? You see that?
fix it?
Now how he's uncomfortable stretching. It's not. As a king, you should be the most relaxed person in any room, and it means he was uncomfortable, and therefore he was sacrificing his comfort in order to create a good experience for the other person, which means he is a poop sock peasant. This is not good.
That
You
man.
notice
from
how he
Leeds-
was stretching from the beginning. I'll put it back. You see it.
Regardless of their skin color.
But
You
how do
see
how
that?
do
You see
fix
that?
it?
That's
How do
not
you
good.
keep-
Don't do it in public. Of course, stretch, do whatever you need. But in any interaction, you should be more relaxed than the other person. If you're less relaxed, it means you're lower status. And him stretching means he was uncomfortable. And therefore, Vivek is not stretching. Vivek was comfortable.
That man from leaving.
Yeah. So
did-
part of this can't be fixed by the government.
Yeah.
You got to be really honest about that. The government can stop subsidizing it, which is what we're doing today. I think the school educational system is a big part of this too. You allow those parents, either dual parent or single parent, to send their kids still to the best school they can. They can't do that today. They're stuck in the awful school.
Anyway, many of those parents will resonate with him and vote. Not to mention Grant stuttering. Yes, it's too much. Grant is too big to be doing that. He's literally like so big that this presidential candidate is coming for him to spread his message. He should value himself more. He's not valuing himself.
The same culture. So the government can't fix everything. I think we got to be really careful about falling into that trap. We don't want the federal government fixing everything. But the federal government can get out of the way and can actually empower people to make their own choices in a way that they're not economically empowered to do today. The rest of it's going to have to come from culture, frankly. People like you, pastors, coaches, teachers. The national revival is going to require everyone to do their part. And so even if you guys vote for me and support me and I'm your next president, I'm not letting you off the hook that easy, right? You're not done. I still need you to we each have to play our roles.
That's very, very good. What is he doing? This is something that big people who collect donations do. People don't want to just donate. They want to be part of something that requires their help, where they feel useful, they feel needed. And he is telling them, I still need you. And that makes them feel that it's not a passive experience. This creates a deeper connection with their tribe. Do you think Grant Brain sees Vivek as his daddy, who possibly could give him a hug later on? I know, I love all the metaphors you're using, Arjoms. I believe he sees him as a potential to open new business and money opportunities, and he doesn't want to upset the goose with the golden eggs.
It's a role for the president to play. It's not more important than everybody else's. It's just another role. And that's the role I'm.
Who does that? Warriors do that, where they say, even as your king, my role is more important. Every warrior within the structure is as necessary. He's speaking as a warrior king.
Fix the bad policies and set a sort of national character of example that
Speaking about character, speaking about how you are as a man or as a woman or as a person, warriors do that. Warriors believe in that. That's why many warriors tend to be religious as well.
And dare I say, I hope inspire them and bring them along with us. That's the way I think about it.
Look, so much of this I agree with. Kill the FDA, get rid of the FBI. We can handle the truth. I think the American people deserve to know the truth. Like so many, but when you say like the single mom in Kensington, okay, are you saying she's being rewarded right now to manage the 3 kids without bringing the husband back? Or
what I'm saying is, yeah.
He already said that. He said many families, the women get paid more if they don't have a man in the house than to bring a man in the house.
Get more payment.
So this was a bit stupid from Cardone, because literally he answered his question previously and Cardone is not paying attention. He's asking him a question that he already answered.
That single parent household rather than a man who's in the house but not.
And another thing, Notice Cardone is breathing from his mouth. Mouth breathers are associated with being low IQ, and therefore don't do it. Don't do it. Notice his mouth is, I'll put you when you play it, notice that he's breathing from his mouth. It's associated with being low status, with being a poop sock. Don't do it like that. Not like you can sometimes breathe, but he keeps
as
breathing
the
from
federal
his
government
mouth.
would give you instead. So there are many people in that situation that literally get more aid because of the circumstance they're in, rather than having a working father in the house because of the way the math works, that he might not be bringing enough money to actually make up for it.
So
And
you
I
end
think
the aid, you end the aid, and how does that solve that problem?
Well, I think first of all, you don't create the incentive structure in the first place. And I think a lot of that came from a cycle of being trapped in those schools. Why is that dad not earning that money despite working hard? It's because he was trapped in a poor educational system that gave him those poor outcomes. So there's no silver bullet, right? It's not that like, oh, taking away the aid is the magic solution. In the short run, without any other solutions, yes, that could actually leave people in an even worse spot. But note the way I talk about it, it's part of a comprehensive vision of also, so combine that with this, right? Take
Part of a comprehensive vision, philosophy plus a full map. He's saying, I have a comprehensive map. My map is amazing, and therefore I'm the real king magician. If Grant himself acted as a proper king, as a peer of Vivek, do you think it would increase the opportunities that Vivek could give Grant and not upset the goose with the golden axe? Yes, because he will get respect. But if you are a poop sock to him like that, you're not getting any respect. And let's break down something very important.
It's not that like
I want you to focus
father
on
in the house
on the energy.
as the federal government would give you instead.
After this,
So
I want you to pay attention to the energy of Cardone. Cardone has prepared questions, and he's like waiting for his turn. You'll notice his energy is anxious, and he's waiting for his turn to ask a question, and that shows he's too invested and eager. Compared, he has no calmness.
Literally get more.
Okay, first I will show you this.
Because of the circumstance.
Notice all those like movements are not slow,
rather than having a working father in the house.
Notice his hand, he's doing like this, he's nervous, but that shows a bit of anxiety.
Of the way the math works, that he might not be bringing enough.
No, it's not how he's trying. Like, I'll put it back. I want you to see that he's trying to find a place to ask the question that's prepared. He's not listening. He's not present in the moment. He is in his head.
House.
That energy is an energy of someone lower at this. Even if he's doing the right things, if he's stuck in his head like this, it's not working.
That he might not be bringing.
No, it's not. Do you see that? Now he's trying to put in. He'll do it.
Make up for it.
So
and I think
not again.
The aid, you end the aid, and how does that solve that problem?
Well, I think first of all, you don't create the incentive structure in the first place. And I think a lot of that came from a cycle of
one hand, except when he does Illuminati gestures, he uses one hand. That's part of being a king. Kings use as little energy as possible.
Not earning that money, despite.
And notice again, more of the energy of the twitching and tweaking around, all that of Cardone. Plus, he's in his head with prepared questions that he's looking for ways to sneak them in. He's not listening. He's not interacting.
Working hard. It's because he was trapped in
and he's doing like all that circling around. It's not real. It's him having nervous energy and soothing himself.
Educational system that gave him those poor outcomes.
Notice all that fidgeting around, all that he's stuck in his head.
So there's no silver bullet, right? It's not that like, oh, taking away the aid is the magic.
And he's learning from him. He's been the student.
Solution. In the short run, without.
We're looking at Cardone. I want you to look at Cardone more than
any other solutions. Yes, that could actually leave people.
Notice all that
in an even worse.
His hands nervously fidgeting. Everything is not on point. So Will Smith, and he's looking down at his notes as well. Yes, and often he'll be like ready to jump in with the question. It's too fast. It's so small but very powerful. The hand movement very strong. Yes, it means everything because contrast them. Vivek is so slow, is so comfortable, while the over-anxious nature of Cardone makes him a poop sock peasant. There is nothing high status about that.
But note the way I talk about it, it's part of a comprehensive vision of also, so combine that with this, right? Take a real family. Imagine now that they now have ability to send their kid to that
playing with the cap of the
private
10,
school or charter school.
stuck in his
I've
head.
been really specific about this elsewhere,
If you can feel his energy, he's not embodied right now. He's in his head.
so I might as well be here. Let's
Note
take
the
the inner
hand
city
gesture.
of Philadelphia, right? 35,000 or New York City, $40,000 per
Yes,
student per year.
Vivek, notice everything
you're
is
going to a better
precise
school
and concise.
That costs, in many cases, $15,000 to $20,000 per year. Let's say it's $20,000 a year. Okay.
Also, he's using SM7B, which makes your voice sound deeper. And, you know, as notice this voice, when you have a deep voice, it's also associated with being a king.
You can buy a lot of allies with one of these.
Do you see that? Or
I now have all the sexy.
Or
your once and future king is crowned.
yes, Vivek shows very high status. And by contrast, that you can see that Cardone is lowering his status way too much. So let's see here. Does that mean Grant lost on the possible many business opportunities from Vivek by failing to present King himself, theoretically speaking? He could have been opening to himself some business opportunities, but he will not get the highest level ones that Kings get. So he could get secondary level ones, which for him, they could be big enough, but he's losing more than that. Kings use little energy. Late Queen was barely waving. But with modern lizard brains, people react better to animation, speeches, and drama. What's the balance? When you have people, when you show you're using little energy and people are doing what you want with little energy, that works. However, if you're speaking to people directly, you need maximum energy without becoming a clown. So there is a limit of like you go to the highest energy without that. If you exceed it, you become flamboyant. So I am speaking in a different way, that kings are often not alone. They have assistants, they have people serving them. If you see the training from Today Sage, the Primal Status Instagram game, I actually show all the archetypes, everything about them, explain everything with photos and all that. And kings have usually people serving them. And therefore, when they're dealing with the people who are serving them, they should have minimal energy and get obedience in a slight, like superior, in a way that's very, very, in his case, as a political candidate, he needs to display passion. Yes, we have someone, Vladimir, who said about him something he said that I would go to war with this man. Ambitious, which is king's ambition. Energetic, it means he goes through the charge cycle and gets rewarded with serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine to have the passion. Intelligent, magician. Approachable, peacemaker. So people feel that. He's actually isn't a king yet in that sense, so it makes sense. Yes.
You take half the difference, the 40,000.
Under my vision, philosophy, right?
That travels with the family. So that family, it just goes into an account for that family. You starve the bureaucracy that way in the public school. You compound that.
Meaning the education department.
Well, first of all, the step one is the federal education.
What did he do there? He made the mistake, Cardone. I'll put it back so that you notice. Cardone is doing what Sartain does often. What he will say stupid things and get corrected. So notice how Vivek is going to correct him without correcting him directly, without crashing his serotonin.
The 40,000 versus the 20,000.
So Cardone is going to pretend to have understood and meaning blah, 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 but it's totally wrong. And notice how subtly Vivek is going to correct him without making it too obvious to not crash his serotonin.
Travels with the family. So that family, it just goes into an account.
Notice he's fidgeting, playing with his fingers. All that is too nervous by Cardone. Look at his hands.
You starve the bureaucracy that way in the public school. You compound that.
Notice that he's going to say meaning. He's trying to be smart, but he's going to fail. And Vivek's going to correct him subtly without crashing his serotonin.
Meaning the education department.
Well, first of all, the step one is the.
Do you see that? It means he's stupid. Like the right people, the magicians recognize Cardone is an idiot, and Vivek has too much class to crush his serotonin directly. Remember Madman yesterday? Don't crush your subordinate serotonin. Even without that, our Jones, he would have lost because he's not showing that his brain works as a magician at all.
Federal education department that spends $80 billion, you shut it down. That gives people the equivalent of the voucher to choose the better school. So that's step one. But I'm going one step further, which is to say that when they leave the bad
Notice
school,
his hands are all fidgety, Cardone, while Vivek is explaining and sharing his philosophy and the plan he has and the map of change he's implementing.
right, the school that's spending $40,000 a year.
Do you see the hand and the fingers and the nervous fidgeting, the self-soothing of Cardone?
And by the way, the worst schools
I don't know. It could be that he needs a few sniffs and couldn't stop to get his dose of the white line, or it could be just that he's not magician at all, and this is too boring
are
to
the
him.
ones that, in terms of achievement, are the ones that spend the most money. When they leave that school, not only are they leaving that school because they have actual school choice to be
Notice the hands of Vivek, although he's using two, but he's using it to paint a picture and a visual image within the minds of the audience.
able to do it, an educational voucher or equivalent to do it. When they leave, they now can take cash with them.
Mm-hmm.
Notice Cardone touching his neck, touching his face, self-soothing nonstop. He's too anxious. For what is the reason? Does he feel intimidated? Does he feel bored that he has to do this and he hates every second of doing things that are not that are magician because he's not? Is it that has prepared questions and is like looking for an opportunity to ask them? What's going on?
Difference between the 40,000 and the 20,000, they get to take half the difference, $10,000 with them, and put it in the kid's account. That's an investment account. When that kid graduates from 12th grade,
again, the details of the plan shows you have a clear philosophy. Cardone is intimidated by the intelligence and energy of Vivek. He looks like a schoolboy in front of a professor. I know, and it's bad for him. I agree with you. You're very correct. And Cardone should have had more trust in himself. Cardone does not trust himself, does not believe he is the real primal status superior, so he crumbles easily. Zerka does it as well when Gary, the numbers guy, comes, or any of those magicians. Zerka becomes a schoolboy.
invested even normally, that's $250,000 in that kid's account when he graduates from 12th grade. Right? That's a good graduation gift. Imagine you growing up in the inner city, you got to not only go to a better school, but you actually have a $250,000 graduation gift when you graduate. It's not
Notice
even
all
close
the
what's-
fidget nervousness. He's uncomfortable with his body. He's trying to stretch, trying to do like move. That's not good. You should make yourself comfortable first. Is that why Grant is friends with Ty Lopez? And did you see Ty Lopez was lowering his status? Like it's a chain of poop sock peasants pretending to be kings. Where Ty Lopez was sucking up to Grant Cardone is sucking up to Vivek, and it goes on and on and on. We'll see. Will Vivek crumble if he and when he meets Donald Trump and act like a schoolboy, or will he hold his king frame? I hope he does it. I hope he holds his king frame when he meets Trump. But otherwise, it's poop sock peasants all pretending and flexing on each other.
The reason we don't have it is the teachers' unions are
They have no core confidence. That's what it means. When you trust in yourself as a king, even if reality doesn't agree yet, you're like, fuck reality. I believe in myself. And if reality didn't catch up with me yet, it will eventually, as long as I stay steadfast. But some people, they're like, oh, in this situation, maybe I'm a poop sock, so let me behave like one. And their serotonin crashes and they become poop socks. Cardone is doing it. Not good. No core confidence.
opposed to it because that is the bureaucracy that we need to starve. And so to me, this is where a lot of the wokeness of
Notice
schools,
all that, as well as he's taking notes again, which is not good in the sense that it shows that Vivek is smarter and that Cardone doesn't have the intelligence to remember or understand, or it looks even deeper. Like to me, as a magician who sees that, I see him so nervous. He's releasing the charge. He cannot handle the charge. He's releasing it through those fidgeting and writing. Oh, let me put.
is they'll say, oh, no, math is racist. 2 + 2 = 4. That's math. No, that's not racist. But what might be racist or inequitable is failing to teach a bunch of
Touching
poor
his
black
nose,
kids
fidgeting his fingers. Look at Cardone. Cardone is an example of what you should not do.
how to do math or to keep them home for an entire year, where a bunch of kids who went to those charter schools and private schools during the
If his chair is uncomfortable, if you see today's today's training. What I said, three things. Next weekend, we're breaking down the movie Gladiator, a legendary movie in the Forbidden live stream to break down the Primal Status Elevation. I released today. It is appearing, vanishing warrior king training that shows you with detail and pictures and symbolism how to show the archetypes of power, how to trigger the worship instinct within the lizard brains of people, and to break through the primal status glass ceiling that is keeping many people stuck. It will disappear. Make sure to join, because the third thing, September 1st, inflation time, everything increased in 25%. And some of the, so if you join, some of the mentorship are going to go and disappear forever. And join as a member, because you will lock in the lower pricing before everything increases in these inflationary times. And that's what we're fighting against. We're building our own kingdom with our own prosperous economy. Fuck the world's economy. We'll be in our own bubble, golden bubble.
Still got a full year of school. We're never going to fix
Touching
that
his
inequity.
mouth. Look, he's biting things. What's going on? He looks like he's in withdrawal, not just anxiety. This is withdrawal from something.
And so they blow what I call woke smoke to deflect accountability for
woke smoke. Notice that. Notice the rhyme within that, and it's a metaphor.
failures. And so I'm calling that bluff, but I want to do it not just to name and shame people, but because there's actual solutions we can bring to the table to deliver.
He's nervous. He's doing like that. Grant Cardone, not good. Not good at all. You have to be the most relaxed person in the interaction. If Vivek is relaxed, you should almost be comatose and how relaxed you are. You're like more relaxed than him.
Not all of this is going to be done by the government. Some of this is cultural, and I think that hurts to talk about. I think we've got to speak about the hard truth. We've got to fix certain failing cultures in our inner cities as well. A culture of victimhood, a psychological culture of failure.
What is he doing? The warrior, and saying that we have to fix the hard truth, showing the shield. Notice the hand. It works as a warrior king, that you are injecting charge onto other people using mirror neurons of determination and motivation.
That's part of this too, and that's not just the U.S. president's job, though the president can be
Notice
a
he's
national
playing with his
symbol of
nails.
character.
Oh no, let me
But
put
it's
it
gonna
back.
require-
No, we have to see it. We have to see it. Notice Cardone playing with his nails like a little girl.
Psychological culture
This is
of
so
failure.
bad from Cardone.
That's part of this
Notice
too.
the
and that's
nails.
not just
Notice
the
the
US
nails.
president's
Did you see
job,
that?
though the
The playing
president
with the
can be
nails.
a
That's
national
self-soothing. That's so much anxiety. Not good. That's super poop sock peasant. No respect there for Cardone.
but it's going to require cultural leaders in other spheres of our
You
lives.
see that?
Parents,
Look, he's still playing with his fingernails. Where is the director? Where is the editor? Where is his assistant telling him, calm down?
coaches, people who provide inspiration through film, the way movies portray people. All of this is going to be an element of our national cultural revival.
And
but the
breathing through his mouth. Look, he is mouth breathing, entranced, and playing with his fingernails. Cardone is
all of this is going to
notice mouth breathing, entranced, and fidgeting with his
be an
nails.
element of our national cultural revival. But the president has a role to play, and that's the role I'm looking to play.
And notice he's like looking for opportunity to talk, which means he's not smart enough to think and create questions on the fly. He needs to prepare. Yes, Cardone is too weak here. He should do more. Like, he has 7 million followers or whatever. Last time I checked, probably now more. He should have more of a container to handle this. Touching himself is self-soothing. Cardone is really intimidated. Yes, I'm telling you from the beginning. And when he was playing with his the cap of his pen and all those are.
Would you
Look at this
support
stuttering? Would you all that, and his hands keep
bad
fidgeting?
schools?
Look at that,
terminating
self-soothing.
their funding and teachers working there, like if they don't.
Yes.
He doesn't speak with any certainty. There is no certain. I'll put it back. Notice how the hesitation in his voice. His voice is uncertain.
Support ending these bad schools, like
Not schools. He's ending on an upward intonation.
terminating their funding.
That was a good gesture, though. That looks certain like this, but everything else is uncertain.
And teachers working there,
Teachers working there, he is upward intonation seeking rapport.
like if they don't.
Yes.
Like if they don't produce, he can't even say a sentence straight. Not good. And notice how Vivek, yes, That's very minimal effort to show the king with fewer words. Being a man of few words shows as well the king that you don't need to justify anything.
Yes.
Can-
Meritocracy.
Do we
Cutting him off now. Now Vivek is speaking over him, unintentionally bulldozing Cardone. Cardone is losing so hard he doesn't need to. This is not even a debate. Our jumps. Lol, the more it goes on, the more Grant is losing status. Every month is looking worse and worse. I know. I like he should know better, and not really. This shouldn't be out there in the open. These gurus all of a sudden look like a complete joke shocker. I know, it's so stupid. They should be. They don't love themselves. That's it. They don't love themselves. They think they have too much imposter syndrome. Cardone should be more like Derek Money Bergstein. Yes, Vivek is fighting his way to the top, so he isn't going to sit there like a king. Yes, I agree. It's the opposite. Like Vivek needs Cardone, and Cardone is acting like he needs Vivek. This is a big mess.
enough
Let me put it back to show you.
support?
Notice the voice is upward inflection, and notice how soon enough Vivek is gonna, because he's gonna stutter. Cardone, Vivek is gonna talk over him, and look at his eyes as well.
Ending
His eyes are
grad
afraid.
schools, like terminating their funding and
Using like and all those filler words. It can work if you are thinking, but he's doing it out of fear and hesitation. He's like those school boys who are asking a question in class and they're afraid of making a mistake.
teachers working there, like if
Working there, like all that is
they don't
hesitation.
Yes.
Notice yes, and
Yes.
notice talking over him. Vivek is bulldozing unintentionally over, and his voice is deeper because of the mic, the SM7B.
Meritocracy.
do we have enough schools in the country to support the students that want?
And notice he's uncomfortable in his chair. Remember, again, as Cardone, you'll see he's moving his chair. You should be setting yourself up from the beginning to be very comfortable so that you're not uncomfortable. Poop sock peasants are uncomfortable. Notice he's moving his chair behind him because he's
Yes.
fidgeting.
Meritocracy.
Do we have enough schools
Notice he's making himself now. He's uncomfortable.
in the
Uncomfortable.
country to support the students that want to go to the good schools?
Yes, we do actually. And the
He's using the royal we. Yes, we do. Although, yes, it means he has people that are supporting him, but we also is a royal we. He's going about with it. So this is what you talk about primal. When a real primal status comes in the room, they just slaughter everyone. I agree with you, R. Jones. Like Vivek feels and believes he's a king, while Cardone, although he could be, Cardone is someone who at least within this sphere, is very necessary and needed. He controls a lot of attention. He is acting like he's a nobody. I could see it makes sense that Grant will be sitting forward in his chair as an interviewer, and he's acting like a low-status interviewer with his other nervous twitches. I agree with you. He should get a more comfortable chair. He should get a throne himself. Why the fuck should he be? Vivek is answering before Cardone finishes stuttering his question. Yes, and that makes it seem like, one, Vivek doesn't respect Cardone. It seems like that. It makes it seem that what Cardone says is unimportant, so people can talk over him. And it makes Cardone seem unsure and therefore lower status.
Created now is just look at what happened in Pennsylvania recently. You had a Democratic governor, Josh Shapiro, who pledged going in. And so here was the situation in Pennsylvania.
One hand. You see one hand, and talk. Every time he uses two hands, he's trying to create an image, but every time he's like using this a lot. Notice that. All those gestures of certainty, very good on Vivek part.
Hash lying around. Like literally
Cardone is putting his hand on his mouth, is biting his lip. He is so bad.
During the COVID pandemic. And he said, we're going to use that
his hand. He's like playing with his hand and doing like almost, I don't know what he's doing, the Macarena or something.
To turn it over to give people school choice. So they're not taking away budgets from the public schools. They're literally just giving poorer families.
And he's making himself smaller. Notice how he's doing like this. Like notice how he's like hugging himself almost. No, Cardone is making his body smaller.
The teachers union.
Not only is he fidgeting, but he is like tightening and making it taking less space, which is lower status. It's his home. It's his podcast.
It's so hard to prevent them from even using that.
Uncomfortable, trying to like constantly readjust his chair. He's too rich. He can afford to buy a completely like deluxe upper luxury chair rather than being uncomfortable, or it's a comfortable chair but his psychological state is uncomfortable. So he is not doing well. He could ask his question, then lean back in his chair and appear to actually consider the answer thoughtfully. That will appear much better for him. I agree with you, Will Smith. That's why you are the actor, or Will Smith. You are not the incarnation in that universe where he married Jada, and that's why you're superior to him. Thank you, Will. Seeing this really makes it crystal clear the difference between real primal status person and a fake one. Both of them align perfectly with their role. Yes. And do you remember when we had Owen Cook meet that other guy, Elliot Hulse, and how he crumbled like this? When Owen Cook, we broke down Elliot Hulse. Check my live stream about Elliot Hulse. In there, I show when Owen Cook met with Elliot Hulse. Elliot Hulse was a king, and Owen Cook was a stuttering little girl.
So it wasn't even money they're taking from.
So there is a live stream on my channel about that. Check for Elliot Hulse. It's one, and there you'll see the interaction between him and Owen RSD Tyler Cook.
But it's excess money lying around, observing that there's plenty of other schools that have excess enrollment capacity, just giving families the ability to show up and actually go there. The unions got in the way of even that. And so that's how broken and rigged the system really is. Because you think about it, why do private sector unions...
Notice the body language. Vivek is open. Cardone is like making himself small in his office, in his place, in his kingdom. Inside his kingdom, he's intimidated.
Or colorable argument for that. It's you got the shareholders on one side and the CEO represents the shareholders, and then you got the unions representing the workers, and they're engaging in a negotiation. Here, nobody's actually representing the citizens and the taxpayers.
Right.
Because the guy who got elected, who's supposed to be representing them...
Vivek is attacking all of the political sphere in order to make himself the only logical solution.
Because of the unions that actually contributed enough money to put him up.
And you see it, our jobs, you need to attack. He's attacking everyone.
With the unions on the other side. So you have the same party negotiating on both sides. It's rigged.
Notice the fidgeting and the pen. This pen is suffering under the hands of Cardone. The pen is going through a torture experiment. Notice that.
To put him up there, that's then now negotiating with the unions on the other side. So you have
Notice the pen. The pen. Do you see the poor pen is being mistreated because because he cannot handle the charge. His container, Grant Cardone, cannot handle the charge. So he is releasing it and fidgeting, self-soothing with the pen. Notice that pen is suffering.
And you know who suffers as a consequence?
Who suffers that pen? That pen is is going to heaven soon. R.I.P. pen.
It's the kids and the families, especially poor kids.
Oh, always self-soothing.
Poor families as a result.
Can the president influence the curriculums at the state levels?
Only indirectly. And I'm a 10th Amendment absolutist, right? So I believe it's going to require good governors. The indirect way is to stop the influence that they're already having. So what the U.S. Department of Education does is they spend $80 billion a year, and they say you...
Playing with his fingernails as well. Notice that back. Cardone playing with his who's like, it's not masculine at all. Be playing with your fingernails.
Require good governors.
That's schoolboy shit.
The indirect way is to stop the influence that they're already having. So what the U.S. Department of Education does is they spend $80 billion a year, and they say you only get that money as a public school if you adopt these toxic racial and gender ideologies. And that's why the public schools do it. So many people think it's the school boards, and some of this does come from bad school boards, and I'm so grateful for parents who get engaged. But
peacemaker to his tribe members. He's saying, I'm grateful for parents who engage. Therefore, he considers those parents to be part of his tribe. And that's why he shows them his peacemaker. Attack like Dillian Danis, and every attack will hit harder and harder. Yes, yes.
Words are really just responding.
Qualifying for funding.
To the incentives that were created.
Look, he's jumping like a good boy. Qualifying for funding. Notice even the energy. He didn't ask him. There was nothing. He just...
Many of those school boards...
Notice Cardone is going to jump in and try to be smart. Like, Daddy, tell me I'm good boy.
Really just responding.
Qualifying for funding.
Notice even he's jumping, his body, everything. He's trying to look smart.
To the
and
incentives.
To get some validation from...
that were created for them.
Notice how he didn't even acknowledge him. I'll put it back. Vivek just kept talking normally. It didn't even like stop to acknowledge or validate.
I'm so grateful for parents who get engaged. But many of those school boards are really just responding.
Qualifying for funding.
to the incentives that
Not
were
like
created for them.
so maybe the guy on the right is bored. Yes, but then still, if you're bored in an intellectual conversation, you show you have no magician. So either way, it's it's painful. Do you know what I mean? But still, you won't. Even if you're bored, relax, take it easy, be a king rather than jittering all this time. So the guy on the right is supposed to be an author of multiple books. Is supposed to be someone who has a podcast where he's interviewing people. That's one of the ways that he spreads his media platform. Therefore, if he's bored with doing the work he chose, that means he's an idiot. He has too much money to choose work that bores him.
Head of the snake, that's the U.S. Department of Education, shut it down. That's a big part of how you influence it indirectly is by stopping the toxic influence they already have.
Whoever's receiving the 80 billion is going to resist that.
Yes, exactly right. I mean, this is the deep state. This is exactly what we talk about. And this is
He's going for the deep state, Vivek. All the conspiracy theories, he's not leaving any advantage to anyone. All the conspiracies, he's going to touch them, appropriate them so that nobody can mess with him. All of the candidates cannot say anything he's not saying. If anything, I would say Grant has zero magician in politics, so he has no clue how to even approach that situation. Not really. Because even if he has, he could ask him, since Grant is supposed to be a sales wizard, correct? He could make it a conversation about how to sell your message, how to create like movements, how to get people to believe in you and support you. He could make it a topic that is related to him. And if he's accepting a topic from someone else, therefore he's not a king, he's a follower. He's told what to do. Do you understand, Arjoms? If Grant is a salesman who's like a sales expert, he can just turn it into something, how to convince people, how to play sales and political game, whatever it is. There's no need to attack here. It's an interview. It's all about declaring status and providing the competence. Cardone is a poor interviewer in this instance and has little competence on the topic. So deep state, ouch. That you see, he's attacking. He's attacking all the candidates. He attacked the super PACs. He did. He attacked a lot of things.
and Trump. I'm not blaming him. I think he was an excellent president, actually, to be clear. I'm learning from the foundation that he laid. He put Betsy DeVos.
That's lower status. So I'm learning from the foundation Donald Trump laid. He's lowering his status to Trump. He's saying, Trump is my king, and I'm learning. He's my magician too, magician king. I'm learning from the foundation he laid. You shouldn't. You should treat him as a peer rather than talk about him as you being his student.
Good,
She's a
man.
friend.
You're good. I like the way you walk the lines, bro.
I'm just speaking truth. I mean, I really love the guy. I voted for
Much better. That you see, much better. He notices that he did something.
I mean,
he should have focused on those things.
I mean, this
Cardone,
is the deep state. This
let's
is
put
exactly
it.
what we talk about. And this is where I'm a little different than Trump. I'm not blaming him. I think he was an excellent president, actually.
Okay, I'm a little different than Trump. He should be totally different, or at least superior or
To be
something.
clear,
But let's
I'm
go.
learning from the foundation that he laid. He put Betsy DeVos on top. A good person.
good,
She's a
man.
friend.
No, now he smiled. Now Cardone caught something. He should have focus on that. Cardone now is getting in a better mood. There is something that resonates
You're
with
good.
him.
I like the way you walk the lines, bro.
That's what he should have made the interview all about, how he walks the lines. Or vote for me, I'll be like Trump minus the lawsuit. He's finishing, yes, Trump supporters, yes.
In truth, I mean, I really
know,
love the
but-
guy. I voted for him, right? I speak, I mean, he was an excellent president, right? So I'm not going to sit here and bash a guy who was probably the greatest president we've had in the 21st century.
More sucking up to Trump, not good. You're a king. You're not, now he's making himself a warrior for the Trump kingdom.
Him winning in 2016 was the single greatest thing that happened for this country to stop the inevitable.
Back to being being less passionate. Cardone has so much, like at least the appearance that he wrote so many books related to sales and things. He should have focused on that rather than talking about things he has no idea about. And in every situation, he can find a sales opportunity.
Marxist march through our government and our institutions. So I'm grateful for that. But here's what I learned from it is he put Betsy DeVos on top and said, reform the Department of Education. It didn't happen. They're spending more money than.
So he's fishing. Yes, he's fishing for Trump supporters. Yes, yes, it's good. He's creating resonance with them.
Tame that beast, but you can slay it.
Yeah, you can
You
kill
can
it.
shut it down. Exactly. That is the right answer. And that comes back to that question. Do
More of making his body smaller, writing things down. He doesn't talk about what he writes about. He doesn't ask questions. He's using it as a self-soothing mechanism, Grant Cardone, to write things
we
down.
want revolution?
And that makes him look like a student and Vivek his teacher. But notice now, do you think Vivek is the king or Donald Trump based on what he said? Now, in the lizard brain, to the lizard brain, Donald Trump is the king. Vivek is one of his warriors. He shouldn't have done that. He should have taken the kingdom to be a supreme emperor, just like our highest level membership my membership members, supreme emperors here in the link in the description. That's how it goes.
The people who stand on the side of reform. But if you stand on the side of the American Revolution,
That's good. He should have said, I respect Donald Trump, rather than he's the best president ever. I'm learning from the foundation that he ever did. Not good. If Grant was relaxed in his king archetype, he would have the serotonin that would give him the creativity to use the situation topic that would benefit him, make the topic benefit him, his kingdom. Yes, and our jobs, just a friendly advice. You make a lot of typos, which means it shows people you're not a magician, and that lowers your status. Like, we love you here, it's fine, but in general, like, get an autocorrect or get Grammarly or something, because it's not written like that. Like Benefit, it's not it's not written archetype, archetype. Like, there are some things. So Grammarly will elevate your status well, and I believe you can get it for free. It's just some advice, because sometimes you make those typos, and then I'm sure that Sage is thinks about you as a little magician, not a magician, but little boy. But since he was in the poop sock energy, it just drained him from the good chemicals and performance. Yes, and he caused it to himself. Vivek is keeping his options open, probably as running mate to Trump. Huge ego clash, but vice president is a juicy position. Yes, it's possible. If he has that, I will say he's been a very political animal, and therefore no comment about that. But we're speaking about being the primal status superior. It's not good. Primal, you must forgive R. Jones Blackwood. He's poor in brain department. Yes, R. Jones, don't crash your serotonin. I'm just giving you good advice, because there are many people who will not tell you this. And if they see those typos in basic words, they will categorize you as a poop sock peasant forever. When you watch R. Jones, the training that I released today, I explain how the lizard brain categorizes people quickly, and how we can take advantage of that to trigger the worship instinct within it. So watch that Primal Status Instagram game. It's in the members plays. So nice. Yes, she messed with you right there. I know it. Like, even if she doesn't, even like your enemy, although she will think he's not important enough to be an enemy, even your enemy does not tell you when you're making a mistake. They just let everybody see you make typos, and I don't want that for you.
76 ideals, then we're on the same team. And that's not going to come from somebody who's come from within the political establishment. It's not going to come from somebody who grew up within the system. It is going to take an outsider who's not beholden to anybody, but also an outsider who has a firmly rooted conviction in the laws and in the Constitution. And that's a pretty rare combination, right? I mean, I went to law school. I've written 3 books, written constitutional law articles and otherwise, quoted by judges in federal cases in the last 2 years on one hand. But I'm not just an academic, right? I've been a CEO. I've built multi-billion-dollar businesses, created thousands of jobs in this country.
He's flexing the king up and down on them and dropping some part of his Odyssey story. One of the best ones who shared Odyssey stories, I would say, watch my live stream about RSD Max Torno, and watch that guy from WeWork, that billionaire guy, when he was speaking to investors. What was his name? Let me check just really quick. So the WeWork CEO at the time, when I did, yeah. So which one? Why are they calling it? Yes, Adam Newman. Adam Newman did one of the very best Odyssey stories you can ever say. I will write it in the Telegram group just for people to watch, because I'm sure there are some people. So watch my live stream about Max Torno, and let me copy his exact name, Adam Newman. Yes, Adam Newman. Because I love it when our tribe members are so like there's so much knowledge and interaction and people supporting each other within the Telegram group. Um, and therefore, to see great examples of Odyssey story. There is a perfume called L'Odyssée from Issey Miyake. It smells really, really good. So I recommend it to you, Arjoms, and I recommend to you, Sage. Get L'Odyssée, the original one. It's pretty classic and older, but it's really good by Issey Miyake.
Takes both of those things right now to get this job done. And I think we all have to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves.
Look, he's putting his hand on his mouth. What? That's not good body language. He is restricting himself, like almost from speaking because he thinks he's going to be dumb or is worried to say a dumb thing.
How are we going to do our duty in playing our small part in reviving this country? And as ridiculous as it might have sounded for
duty, the language of the warrior,
a guy like me to say it, I honestly believe it, especially when I think about reaching the next generation, reviving
next generation, a king who has a vision for next generation impact, and warriors care about legacy and next generation. So you were Dior Poison, poison. I'm Scorpio. I murder with my charm. Yes. There is a song called These Are the Signs of Love Making. Signs of Love Making. And is it true what is said there about Scorpios? Is there a difference between Odyssey story and origin story? May sound a bit rhetorical, but I'd like to know. So the Odyssey story is your origin story, your present day story, and your vision. It's like a series of stories that makes you just like Jesus or Buddha, destined to be the primal status superior. So the Odyssey story is a full narrative, and one element within it is the origin story. So it's a full framework, but only one part of it is the origin story. And often we go even deeper. Why, even before you were born, there were signs that you were the king who was promised, that you were the Azor Ahai. So it's even deeper, and it extends over a longer period of time than just the origin story.
Amongst young Americans,
Dude,
I honestly think I'm the best person to do it.
Your pitch is strong, bro.
Not your pitch is strong, bro. This is him doing much better. This is how to treat as an equal and as a magician, where he's showing passion. He's saying, I understand what you're doing. Therefore, magician. He's not a student. And he is being like a king who's judging. He's saying, you're a good king as well. We're equals. This is how he should have handled it. This is how Grant Cardone should have been.
I honestly believe it.
I put it, and let's keep going.
Especially when I think about...
I rewinded it just for you to see the reaction of Grant Cardone. This is much more of a peer king, an equal king, than a poop sock peasant, which he was most of the time.
The next generation, reviving national pride amongst young Americans. I honestly think I'm the best person to do it.
Your pitch is strong, bro.
I appreciate it, man.
No, I'm serious. Like, it's hard to listen to you and not be.
So BRH, according to these words, he's not bored. He's not bored. He was acting as a poop sock peasant, but now he's acting a lot more like an equal king.
Charismatic, extremely convincing.
Not even now when he's speaking much more normally, but much more like an equal.
Right.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I'm just, here's the other thing I will say, though. I want to be honest about this in respecting, every audience and every voter out there. My job in this is I just want you all to know who I am and what I stand for. All right, if everybody in this...
Exactly. Who you are, what you stand for. That's everything based on all the techniques and tools and frameworks of Primal Status Elevation, because people are buying the relationship more than anything. They want the protection of the Primal Status Superior, and they're not buying your products, services, anything like that. They are investing. Their lizard brain is forcing them to build reciprocity and invest in the relationship to have a winner on their side. That's what people want. They want to know you're a winner, that you have uncommon commonalities, and they invest in a connection and a relationship with a winner rather than a poop sock loser.
That. And then say, this isn't what they want. I'm good with that, right? I'm fine with that. I put my head on my pillow at night and sleep peacefully. But the system is so rigged and broken that it is designed to stop you from knowing that, right? And so that's why I appreciate conversations like this one. You know, there's, we take questions from the people online, everything else. That's good, right?
Notice he's saying why he appreciates conversations like that. He didn't say, thank you for the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. He's speaking as an equal. And he's saying this is part of his fight, part of his philosophy that he's participating, which means he's doing his kingly duties. It's good. It's very, very well said as in a way that is equal. Let me put it
rest
back.
of it is
Let me put it back. He attacked the system, went heaven and hell. And then he's sharing that he's judging that this is a good thing, therefore a king.
That, right? And so that's why I appreciate conversations like this one. There's, we take questions from the people online, everything else.
We take questions from the people. Who speaks like that? A king talking to his subjects.
We need more of that because the rest of it is designed to be filtered and
hell attacking all the hell's demons and the enemies.
Stop you from knowing me or the other candidates in this race. It's all distorted. And if we can cut through that distortion and people don't want what I have to offer, they want reform of a different kind rather than, the revolution.
Not good. You should be believing in yourself that you're the only logical choice rather than diluting your power by saying if they want me or any out. No, you are the king who was promised. That's how you should see yourself.
Fine. I'm cool with that. But I'm going to tell you what I stand for. And if you guys put me there, that's what I'll get done.
And
philosophy, part of it is telling people what you stand for. It's great.
For a revolution, I think, this education thing.
Moving too much. Notice he's fidgeting around. He's uncomfortable. Returned back to the poop sock origins.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, they immediately improved by not being around the other.
Although he's speaking without stuttering, much, much better in that sense. Trump will never say that. I agree with you. And James Bond, I recommend to you from the beginning of this one, a lot of insights that you will find very, very useful for your content creation and your king coronation.
The parents and the confusion.
How old are they, if you don't mind me asking?
They're 12 and 14 now.
Okay.
So they've been.
He said, though, even worse, he said, Trump is the best president we ever had. I am learning from the foundation that he has set, which destroys his kingdom, makes him a warrior for the Trump kingdom. And therefore, the real king will always steal from him the shine and the work.
For 6 years, my family said, oh, they're not going to be socialized.
But he did very well. I will say 95% of what he did was excellent primal status, but he shot himself in the foot in some instances. It could be, as Sage argued, that this is a play to be the next vice president of the US. It could be. Cardone looks like fidgeting schoolboy. Forget king status. He's incompetent. His little job of the interviewer. And that's good. Because if he can have 10 million followers and all that while he's fidgeting like a schoolboy, you can too. If Grant Cardone, with his dismal performance, his despicable skills that he is using right now, his low inner game, can do it, you can do it 10 times better. You have more ability and knowledge than Cardone. There is no excuse for you to be 10 times bigger than him. You should be the 10x of Cardone. Grant, is it a good model other than what not to do? That's what we did. He was a great model of what not to do throughout all of these 2 hours.
Exactly. I don't
into
want
the,
him
into the
around.
nonsense.
He said it. He said exactly. He was fidgeting around. He was stuttering. He was a mess.
Confusion. There's so much confusion in our system.
So my older son's 3.5 now, and we're
Uncommon Commonalities, Odyssey Story, My Older Sons, and Peacemaker.
If you asked me before we had kids, would I have considered homeschooling? I would say no way. And yet that's exactly the option we're considering right now.
The best thing.
Uncommon Commonalities. People who homeschool their kids will be like, he's my guy. Homeschool for the win.
The best thing we did for our family was to homeschool our kids. It was better for our family unit. Now, unfortunately, there's no government aid to support that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think that should be part of the school choice program, right? You bring that out, take that money with you, put in the educational account of the kid. He gets to go to
He's speaking to homeschool fanatics and aficionados, and therefore they'll be like, "Yeah, I love him. He's gonna give me money for homeschooling. I'll vote for him."
Money to spare with that $250,000 I talked about.
Brilliant.
But in the meantime, that should actually support parents who need to make that choice.
Talk to me about, because there's a lot of other things that you're taking on. I wish I had more time with you.
Yeah, we got to, unfortunately, time's flown by. We got to rock and roll.
Notice we got to rock and roll soon. He's setting a boundary. His time is precious. More of the king, and he's looking at his phone. Is that the nothing phone, or is that a different cover for the iPhone? So 0.001% of voters. Well, according to him, and he's creating that vision that he is on the same path of Donald Trump, that he is Donald Trump in 2015.
Yeah. So
let's put it back.
Some money to spare with that $250,000 I talked about.
Brilliant.
But in the meantime, that should actually support.
NESB. And notice everything. Next level NESB everywhere in what he's talking about. And baby step in it, giving them blueprints, everything, the step by step.
Because there's a lot of other things that you're taking on. I wish I had more time with you.
Yeah, we got to, unfortunately,
Okay, notice he's looking at his phone. Unfortunately, blah, blah, blah.
time's.
Which one is that? Okay, I think that's an iPhone with a different cover. It's not that nothing phone or whatever it's called. Yes.
We got to rock and roll soon, but I'm.
So FBI, you want to eliminate the FBI?
Yes, I do.
Outlaw, breaking everything that exists to restructure and build his own vision of a kingdom.
You want me to talk about the details of that a little bit?
Well, FBI, what else you want to kill? The FDA?
FBI, CDC, IRS, ATF, Department of Education, nuclear regulation.
Outlaw, right there. Destroying everything is outlaw by definition.
Just getting warmed up. That's the answer.
And we're just getting warmed up, delusional confidence, and a king thing.
Slogans, right? I'll just give you one example.
These are not slogans. That's a warrior who is practical. It's a
king thing.
He's going for it. Vivek attacking FBI, legendary. Do you see? That's why you see him as a legend, because
you can buy a lot of allies with one of these.
The balls it takes to be someone who goes through the charge cycle to be an outlaw king is fascinating to people. Delusional for sure. Yes, but he doesn't like, if it gets him the throne, he got what he wanted in that sense. Do you know what I mean? He needs to excite people. Without outlaw, you're not offering any exciting thing to people. People want to be excited more than anything.
Send him another $100, okay? Yeah, guys, it's Vivek2024.com, Vivek2024.com, Vivek.
Much better work now on Cardone. He seems to be in flow a bit more.
Vivek.
Vivek, sorry. Vivek2024.com. I just, listen to what he wants to do, man. Like,
I appreciate it.
Yes, it's similar to defunding the police, but people don't use their magician, and therefore they're looking for a leader to lead them. He's telling them exactly, like, if you see it, everything he used, next level NESB, broke down everything, explaining the reason why behind everything. Even if it's not real, it sounds true, and that's what the lizard brain cares about.
Message. I'm talking to the listeners right now. You guys have to vote with your pocket. Like, you can't just have ideas. You have to fund them, okay? How much money did you spend? You spent $15 million of your own money.
Over 15, yeah.
How many interviews are you doing a day? 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, I mean, easily, including town halls and everything else. I mean, I work from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. usually, most days, 7 days a week. Occasionally, we'll take a day, a month off, but we're stopping at nothing on this thing. And it lifts me up when the people of this country say this is what they want. I am your instrument. Work through me to get this done. And for me, man, I will tell you, even the FBI shut it down. People say, is that extreme? No. Extreme is the status quo. Let me tell you what's not extreme is having a government that actually represents the will of its people. So I'll give you
reframes. Notice how many reframes, flexing, showing the warrior. And he's saying, you are the kings. Actually, I'm the warrior for the people.
35,000 employees in the FBI. 20,000 of them are in back office functions. That's where the political rot comes from. They're going to have to go home and find honest work in the private sector. I'm pragmatic. The 15,000 agents that are on the front line, many of them good people, most of them good people, we'll move them to more specific agencies that haven't been polluted, like the U.S. Marshals which has been great on child sex trafficking rings. Move him to the DEA, which is investigating some of the same cases the FBI is, the drug cases, but in a separate silo. Move some of them to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network underneath the U.S. Treasury, which has actual expertise to go after white-collar crime and large-scale theft. So this isn't some sort of political slogan. This is an
Do you see all those examples? It makes him sound like he's a man with a plan, and therefore he has a potential to be a king. So, but lizard brain, like their routines and old ways and traditions, new changes might frighten old lizard brain. Fear of unknown is real. Yes. Remember, you didn't see it. It was in one of the trainings, how human beings want brand new cliches. Human beings want, at the same time, the excitement of going out of their comfort zone, plus the staying in the comfort zone because they're afraid. So they want to live vicariously through him. So it's not that people want to stay in their routines, but they want to cheer for someone who's an outlaw going out of his comfort zone and to live the emotions safely and vicariously through him. So Sage, that's how it happens. They don't want to do it themselves, but they want to cheer for a king who's doing it. So they use mirror neurons to safely feel all that excitement. Yes, it's very political. He has no name essentially, so he needs to get his name out there. Trump already was known by everyone, so his starting point is basement level. Still, he is a billionaire. He has a company that is competing with Vanguard and BlackRock and all those, so he's not poor, and therefore he can do a king thing. He works 7-Eleven. Yes, that's funny, Sage. Yeah, how do they do with Epstein? Well, one of the things he said, we will reveal the truth about Epstein. As a non-American, sounds like entertainment, so I vote for Vivek. Yes, Americans too vote because of entertainment. You're mistaken if you think the lizard brain is voting for any other reason than entertainment. They want to live vicariously through him. They don't want anything to change, really, except he promised them to give them money for education, give them money for blah, blah, blah. So all these changes sound to them like they can live an adventure without risk through him.
Of how it's done. We don't need the FBI itself as an institution. That is still the J. Edgar Hoover building that people walk into and report for duty every day. It is built in the shadow of J. Edgar Hoover. We don't need it. But that doesn't mean people are going to suffer. To the contrary, the 15,000 people who really matter, we're moving them to other agencies that haven't been corrupted. So this isn't, some people say, oh, is this extremist or impractical? No, this is far more practical and effective, but also legal and constitutional than what we're actually doing today under the current status quo. So that's the kind of leader I want to be, is, yes, idealist in my convictions, but deeply pragmatic in how we actually implement it.
Ideally, like, what did I say? Next level NESB all day. There's so much to unpack there. He's saying, I'm a warrior and I'm a king and I have some lover. That's why I'm an idealist. And I have a plan. So it's magician, all of them. He is doing it for real.
Manage the Fed and their, what I believe is their
And he spoke about the status quo, how they're changing it. Whoever attacks the status quo is an outlaw.
reach.
And James Bond, did you see my training that I released today for Warrior King, since you are a Warrior King? It's also a detailed training showing different symbols and ways to show many of the archetypes of power. It's called Primal Status Instagram game. You will love it very much, and it's very useful to you.
It's crushing the middle class right now. Their ability to even qualify for a mortgage has become impossible at 7.5% interest rates. I know
this is such a good question. I should probably rock and roll soon, but this is such a good question.
I should probably rock and roll soon. Warrior King, his time is pressure, he's cutting it off. But this is such a good question. He's judging it as a king. Let's go.
So here's the deal. The Fed has been for 25 years trying to hit two targets with one arrow, and they've been missing on both, inflation and unemployment. The reality is the Fed shouldn't be doing any of this, playing financial God from on high. They should be focused on one job: stabilize the U.S. dollar as a unit of measure.
Clear vision, whether realistic or not. Remember, the lizard brain wants next level NESB, and therefore he is speaking with certainty. Yes, unfortunately, you and I have too much in common. Latest training regarding status, etc. I know. Thank you, James Bond, and use it. Use it. It's time. Don't leave this to people. Yes, powerful one hand movement. I'll put it back because it's very, very important to realize the use and that it adds more certainty when you use those. So I'll put it back.
Trying to hit two targets with one arrow, and they've been missing on both inflation and unemployment. The reality is the Fed shouldn't be doing.
So whoever doesn't know what we're speaking about, kings usually use one hand. And when you use one hand, you show that you have precision, you have competence, and you are not using excessive energy to do anything because you trust yourself and your power has high leverage.
God from on high. They should be focused on one job: stabilize the US dollar as a unit of measurement, period, against gold, silver, nickel, agricultural and farm commodities. That's it. Stabilize the dollar. It actually means something against goods of real value, commodities of real value. That's it. I don't need then 23,000 employees, which is how many work in that system today. I need less than 10% of that. So what are we doing? 90% headcount reduction at the U.S. Federal Reserve. Single mandate, stabilize the dollar. And this reveals part of the problem, actually, because when you
the doctor who diagnoses the problem is seen as the one who knows how to cure it. He's going now to hell. He keeps repeating, hell, hell. Now, he was like, my plan for heaven a little bit, my GSTTT, that's what he was talking about. And now, if we don't do my GSTTT, there is a problem. Hell is gonna go deeper and deeper.
People who show up to work who shouldn't have had that job in the first place, it's not just their headcount costs that are the problem.
Yeah.
It's that they find things to do that actually are far more destructive than just having not existed in that bureaucracy in the first place. Plus, we'll save the headcount costs too. That's the way I think about it. And it gives you a sense for how I look at, the FDA and the SEC and otherwise in a very similar light.
Everything, destroying everything Vivek is embodying his Chuck Berry archetype. I don't know how that relates to that singer, but I trust you, Will Smith. All good talk, but then once elected, men with black suits come and everything stays the same. Putin was laughing at American democracy. Yes, and you're jaded sage, but he is trying to reignite the inspiration within people by saying that he will continue, but Donald Trump almost finished. So he's trying to counter that jadedness. And therefore, I understand what you're saying, but each time they're all trying. From the time that Obama or even earlier, they all try to reignite faith and then before they disappoint the people. But we're not breaking down what he's going to do. We're breaking down what he's doing right now to get that throne before reality hits him in the face.
You said that, and I know you're running out of time, but Wuhan, you would want to know where COVID came from.
Do you notice that all the conspiracies, he's taken all of the advantages, the unfair advantages anybody is going to talk about. He is collecting them all so that nobody can talk about anything that he didn't cover.
We now know where it came from. And now we finally do. 3 years later, I could have told you that in mid-2020.
Yeah.
But now we need to know the circumstances under which it was released. I believe there's a reasonable likelihood that there was some intentionality to it. Mm-hmm. I do. I think that China's intentionally flooding Mexican drug cartels south of our own southern border with synthetic materials that create fentanyl south of our own southern border.
Oh, he's playing with the enemies. He's saying, you need me. I'm the one that's going to protect you. I'm the guardian. Neither party has a good candidate, so it's a huge opportunity for someone to slide in there with the right game plan. And I think he has a good game plan. The rest needs to be the right circumstances, but he is trying to be the one with the right game plan.
Chemist who lives.
I don't think it's enough. He said he's already spent from his own money $15 million and is not going to be backed by APAC and all that. I don't think it's enough money, but let's see, because he's using enough primal status that the lizard brains are going to resonate. Vivek is the daddy of all tinfoilers. What about UFOs? Yes. I believe they changed the name. It's no longer UFO, but you're very correct. He's going to take all of them. He's going for homeschoolers, tinfoilers, Trump followers. He is collecting everyone. When you share uncommon commonalities, you collect people in the same way that he is. I'll release soon enough a training about uncommon commonalities because it's too powerful.
Southern border, pumping fentanyl into our country across the southern border. It's happening every day. Now, here's the deeper questions we have to ask, right? If there was some intentionality to the COVID-19 pandemic, if they are intentionally, as they absolutely are, sending raw materials for synthetic fentanyl south of our own southern border, and then they're responsible for 90% or, maybe it's 80% of our pharmaceutical supply chain for many classes of drugs, who's to say that they won't lace that with the same fentanyl that they're lacing Percocet with that's crossing our southern border? Now, that sounds like the stuff of crazy conspiracy theories. But actually, if you're thinking about it logically, based on the truth, it's not that unthinkable if we escalate our tension with China.
Oh, he's going to the depth of hell. He's creating theoretical scenarios where everybody's attacking them. He's been the Trollo Tomasi playing games with the brains and the minds and the lizard brains of the incels. When he was Trollo Tomasi calling feminist terrorists and saying how they bomb police stations, or now when in his live stream about the end of Fresh and Fit, he went to say that people are taking away your bread. If you're a man, you say the truth, they'll take away your bread. He's messing with people like...
They're the ones escalating the tension with the Chinese spy balloons flying over half our United States. So these are the questions we have to grapple with. Mm-hmm. And these are not easy questions to grapple with. They're ugly, they're hard. But we, as I said at the beginning, we can handle the truth. There is no such thing as a noble lie. And I think we live in a moment where the people who lead the government and the managerial class in the universities and in corporate America and in the federal bureaucracies, they believe the public can't handle the truth. If we believe we can handle the truth, some of it might be ugly, some of it might be uncomfortable, but the first step is just telling the truth again. That is how we move forward as a country. That is why I'm going to Nashville tomorrow. I'm going to demand the release of the shooter's manifesto that the FBI and the police committed to.
Anyway, like I said, when he goes around and demands things from the police and he has no power, it makes him look weaker. He should find a different way to frame it. So if he had Trump energy, I would think his chances would be higher. He's not. Like, Trump was destined. Remember, Trump all his life was preparing for that moment, and therefore it's not the same. It's called an unidentified aerial phenomenon now. Yes, UAP. I agree with you, Vladimir. China makes most of the education sold here in the US. Yes, pharmaceutical. I understand. My autocorrect needs an upgrade. Yes. That's good. Did you notice, though, Arjom's, how he fixed it by using the trickster to avoid a loss of status through making mistakes? I'm just saying, you didn't see me when I gave some advice to Arjoms. Doesn't matter. It's between us and him. We forget that and start with the blank slate to see him as the king. And then anyways, notice how he made the typo. He corrected it. If it stayed there, it's not good look. And then he used the trickster in order to neutralize it and not lose status because of it.
I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think that the default assumption was that it was a transgender individual who harbored some animus to commit a hate crime against a Christian school. But I don't know, actually. No. And I think that this is part of the problem is we start making up our own theories. That'd be my best guess right now. But if we don't want something like that to happen again, you can virtue signal and talk about some anti-gun law. That's the wrong way to deal with this.
Yeah.
We have a mental health epidemic. We can handle the truth. Somebody wrote something down in a notebook. The tradition of the police is they release it.
Exactly.
Release it to the public. And I understand there's a consideration where it may be painful to the victims and their families. We have to do it with decency and respect for those families. But
he's going for it. Notice all those things, speaking about principles, philosophy, always saying, I'm acting, everything should work according to my principles. I'm going to give myself to my principles. That's king, warrior. Because the king, he created his own principles, supposedly. Although sometimes he made Trump his king, but for now he is following his principles. King and the warrior defends your principles. So warriors defend the principles of the king. But if you are your own king, you're a warrior for yourself, and that's the strongest position.
We have to know the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to restore in the government. If I do one thing, it is restoring truth.
Man, I really appreciate.
Did you notice how many times he said that? Restoring truth, telling truth. Truth is his slogan, just like Obama had changed and Trump, make America great again. Is it a great slogan? Depends. Do people resonate with that? We have to notice what the tribe members say that are his tribe. Do they resonate with truth or not? Vivek is still very young at 38. He's lacking that old wise man statue. Yes, stature, you mean, but okay, he'll be perfectly ripe and undefeatable for 2032. Great. At the same time, Sage, I'm surprised that you think that old men have wise stature, because often you make fun of older men. So how does that work together? Are you saying things just to win a frame, or are you someone who changed your ways? Always, until they get into office and let them in how it really is. Still wish I could be a fly on the wall for that each time a president is elected, then informed. Well, some people still believe that Donald Trump did not agree to any of those informed things and did what he could, but was sabotaged along the way. Vivek is even worse because he plans to fire 90% of the people in many of the government departments. They will make sure that he doesn't make it.
Just quickly, Ukraine, end it or let
End it.
keep going? End it.
End it. End it. And you
Would
keep
you
asking me these
exonerate-
good questions.
Would
And
you exonerate?
You keep asking me these good questions. He's been a peacemaker, elevating also the serotonin of the interviewer of Cardone, but he is the judge and therefore keeping himself as the king who judges what is good, what is bad.
what do you mean by pardon
I
him?
mean, if he, yeah, would you pardon him?
Oh,
I guess?
yeah. Absolutely. I've said that. I was the first person to say it. In fact, and I've written on the pages.
I was the first person to say it. Again, trying to be a king and the first with it. I wrote it on the pages of all the Wall Street Journal. More of him trying to be a king magician in that sense. Yes, she's flip-flopping again. I understand. Yes, and there is no qualified people to replace them. Hence my first point with Gavin's statement the other day. Yes.
Exact legal argument for why in
Should
both of
he
those
be-
cases.
Should they be pursuing him the way they are?
No, absolutely not. This is
Do
a
you
dangerous
think-
precedent in the United States.
Do you think the last election was rigged?
By big tech, yes, it was.
Uh-huh.
The Hunter Biden laptop story.
All of the conspiracy theories, he's adopting them. Hunter Biden laptop, big tech, and everything. China, Wuhan, all of them collecting everything, and therefore he's creating uncommon commonalities in a different way. But Tate did it. Many of the manosphere are doing similar. He's collecting everything. I'm being realistic, looking at the age of our other presidents. It's mostly men in their 50s, wide, but still enough energy. Old voters, lizard brain, might not like a younger candidate. Still, according to him, maybe you didn't see it, that they had a lot more younger generation, first-time voters come to support him. And therefore, he's bringing fresh new blood into the political scene, according to him, which is a great frame to show King winning, that you're a winner.
Been allowed to be shared, Donald Trump would be the current president of the United States, no doubt about it.
Where do you stand on abortion?
Pro-life without apology. And I think that I picked that up at St. X High School in Cincinnati. And I actually think more people are pro-life in this country than are willing to admit it. That's the other thing
What's going on there, Cincinnati and all that, sharing Odyssey's story, controversial polarization, and therefore he's going for his conservative crowd unapologetically. He is being sharp with it without any hesitation, warrior style.
And I have found that. And so I don't think this has to be this divisive issue we've made it out to be.
Hey, look,
Again, Sage, we're almost done. Join us as a magician, at least, so that you have fun with our new female warrior king. She's a great human being. You can learn with her, interact, and build your your primal status intelligence. Jesse the Body, became government of Minnesota via college kids. He went to most of the schools as part of his campaign, shocked the world, yes. And according to Vivek, what he was saying, which could be something interesting, he spent the last 3 years going from place to place to promote his book about truth. And therefore, that could be part of his presidential campaign.
In Miami, I'd love to support you down here and get my friends. I got a big audience and love to bring my friends out and have them listen to you.
That's good. Flexing, friends, Miami, audience, big audience, farming status. Good thing to show that he's a king and not a poop sock peasant.
Can do to help and support your staff. I love your message. I believe in it. Guys, it's Vivek2024.com, Vivek2020.
I love your message. I believe in it. Again, when you share philosophy, people want to join and get part of that living vicariously and belonging to something bigger than themselves.
Any last words, my friend? I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. I'm going to have my team reach you. We might even be there this Friday. So that might be a little short, but
we have 1,800 women. My wife is speaking to, I don't know, 1,500, 1,800 women, 800 women this at the Turnberry Friday and Saturday. So if you want to come in and say hi to them.
Okay.
They're all voters.
I would love that. Let's talk offline on the team. The thing I'll say in closing is that
good. His wife always offering ways to add value in a way that shows he has a kingdom and a tribe, doing much better. Cardone recovering.
Believe that our diversity is our strength.
Okay, I'll put it back just to show you that he changed his posture. This is prepared. He understands the way you start any interaction and end it is the most memorable part within the lizard brain. So he wants to end strong, and therefore,
say hi to him.
Okay.
Notice Vivek how he will go forward and make a point. This is prepared. He wants to end in a strong way, and this is part of lizard brain communication.
I would love that. Let's talk offline on the team. The thing I'll say in closing is that
the thing I'll say in closing, he prepared this. He wants to close strong. Let's see how he closes it. This is what he wants to live ingrained within the lizard brain. James Bond is part of the summary and part of the final part. Let's see what he does.
Ought to believe that our diversity is our strength. Our diversity is not our strength. Our strength is what unites us across our diversity. E pluribus unum means from many, one. And I believe those ideals still exist in our
philosophy, heaven and hell, he's going for it. I believe these ideals still exist, using some Latin to slip in some magician. Good work.
I believe most of us share them in common. I believe we still have a window to work with where we together can revive them. 20 years.
Heaven, more heaven, reminding them of heaven.
But I think this is.
And telling them the next steps, working together, all that stuff.
To still revive those ideals of the American Revolution, revive that one nation under God. And if you guys do your part, I promise you I will do.
Do you see he ends with heaven and ends with call, like James Bond? Remember the last things. He's following the checklist of the PSC communication container. He's ending perfectly with that, although I will say that his call to action or next step is not specific enough, but at least it's there.
Send Vivek some more money, all right? Vivek2024.com, guys. Vivek2024.com. Hey, appreciate your time. Love to do this again. We have a big audience right now on X, so that was
all of you guys listening. Your support means a lot to me. I do not take that lightly.
Again, showing Peacemaker to assume that they are his tribe members, because you show peacemakers to people who are in your tribe. And that is when it works, when humility works. It doesn't work for people who didn't earn it. But in this case, they're voters, and therefore he's implying they're part of his tribe.
And it will lift this campaign up. So thank you, guys.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
We finished. That was beautiful. I enjoyed all he did. It was good. What a great note to end on. I agree with you, Vladimir. Thank you so much.
It's a king thing.
I appreciate you, everyone. James Bond, Sage, everyone who's watching, thank you for your time. I'll see you again tomorrow. And keep conquering. Remember the 3 things. Next weekend, we're doing Gladiator. Breaking down the legendary movie Gladiator for members only. And All of the memberships increasing in price September 1st. Make sure to join before to lock in the lower one, as well as I released today a 53, almost 54 minutes of training on all of the archetypes, at least 6 of them, how to use them to communicate them immediately, and how to use them in social media to create and trigger worship within the lizard brain. It's called Primal Status Instagram Game, and it vanishes, disappears, except for Supreme Emperors. Supreme Emperors download anything anytime they want. It never expires for them, but everyone else, you snooze, you lose forever. So he's overly committed to mention that Vivek is Hindu. He's cleverly omitted. Okay, I understand what you mean. So any followers, that how many? Last time I checked, he had 7 million on Instagram, but he has a big platform. That's why he should be a king. That won't fly with Christians. I know, and that's why they are manipulating. Thank you, BRH. You're very smart. Thank you for the contribution today. Thank you for sharing those symbols of all the archetypes. It was very instructive. You're welcome, Sage. Goodbye, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow because it's a king thing.
What they say, when we time will tell. Just roll it up, loud lungs like a Dell. Nowadays, I can't wait to check the mail. Hey, this another check in the mail, yeah. All these dead presidents, I'm going to hell. Every time I double, what they expect me to sell. Never been made for a casket or a cell. Sipping soda, hoping we don't crash like an intel, yeah. What they say, when we time will tell. Just roll it up, loud lungs like a Dell. Nowadays, I can't wait to check the mail. Hey, this another check in the mail, yeah. All these dead presidents, I'm going to hell. Every time I double, what they expect me to sell. Never been made for a casket or a cell. Sipping soda, hoping we don't crash like an intel, yeah.